Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the Nintendo Select podcast. I'm your host, BoTalksGames, joined as always by Tucker Hazel. Tucker, as always, and to be fair, I set the time for this podcast every week.
Yes.
But I'm always scrambling to wake up because I sleep in.
I know you do.
So waking up at 10:30, Tucker, a.m., not a good look for me.
That's like lunchtime or close to lunchtime for some people.
My sleep schedule's very sporadic because I work from home and all that, so I can do whatever the blip I want, Tucker.
Well, we don't curse on here. No cursing. God.
You gotta keep it PG.
This is a kid's show.
But
that was some of the things we talk about later, though.
Sure. So yeah, just woke up feeling a little tired, but took a shower, woke myself up. How are you doing, Tucker, this week?
I've had an incredibly productive week. This is actually my first full week not having either school or my library job, as I talked about last week. I just finished. So I tried to make a schedule for myself because I'm like actually an adult now. I don't have school to do anymore. So I've been waking up, going for a walk first thing in the morning to get myself energized, go home, eat a little breakfast, and then I drive back to the library where I worked, but then I work on shit at the library. I actually get work done. Whether that is sending emails to people that might get me a job in the future, or doing work for the podcast that I edit, the other podcast that I work on, or making thumbnails, stuff like that. I'm productive for a couple hours. Then I come home, play a couple hours of video games, hang out with my friends in the evening, go to bed, repeat. It's been great. It's honestly been fantastic. And you just woke up this morning. I already did the dishes. I made some money. I beat humanity. I went for a walk.
Oh, nice.
It's fucking crazy out here.
See,
you can't stop me.
I have not worked like a regular scheduled job for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I used to have like a routine. And over the past 2 years of not working that job, I've just devolved into not doing anything.
Yeah. And that's what I'm scared of for myself. Because I work very well.
It's very important. It's very important to have that routine. Yeah.
I don't want to become Bo.
No, God forbid. No, having that morning walk, very important.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't do it this morning, actually. I lied. I'm sorry. I didn't do it this morning because I beat humanity this morning instead of going for a walk.
I'd say that's better.
Games.
I'd say that's better.
Yeah,
video games are more important than your health, Tucker.
Exactly.
Well,
let's spend 3 hours talking about them.
Yeah. We'll get to what we're playing. I'm only playing one game. I only played one game this week. This past week, I have been manga pilled. So I actually have a Shonen Suit video going up today. I have read so much manga this week, Tucker.
Jesus.
But this is not a manga podcast, so I won't.
But I have those phases as well, where like I usually play a good amount of video games pretty consistently, but sometimes I'll be like really into one subsect of films, and I can't focus on anything else, so I just watch a ton of movies. Or a couple of weeks ago, or actually like a month and a half ago, I wanted to get into Batman, and so I did nothing but read Batman comics for like.
I remember you telling me, yeah.
I read like 150 Batman comics. I spent literally like the first issue of Batman to like the late 90s. And so I totally understand what you're going through of just like being hyper focused on
that post Zelda depression.
Sure.
I need something to bounce back, something quality to bounce back to. Or something low quality. I mean, as with the past 2 weeks, I've been playing Warzone still, but like that's not that's not real.
No, God no.
Getting better at it though.
Good.
All right.
Finally. It's only been a few years.
Yeah. All right, Tucker. We have, I would say, probably our most packed news week so far of the podcast.
That's great.
So there's a lot to talk about. You can stop me on these next 4 if you feel like you have anything to say, because I think they're all pretty small. But
okay.
We recorded this podcast on Thursday. In fact, actually, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, Tucker. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Right.
Housekeeping. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. And most importantly, ask us questions to be read on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because, Tucker, we have a new Discord server. I did some self-reflection. And I was like, because I had my server for my YouTube channel. I don't like that server. So I made a server just for Nintendo Select. Because my server was a lot of people that were there for when Pokemon came out and then Zelda. But more importantly, a lot of game collectors, which is fine. Yeah. I'm going to keep that server and still have it do its thing. But Nintendo Select server is going to be more for specifically this podcast and like people that follow news like we do. Not even just Nintendo. Like this morning, Jason Schreier put out a great report about Redfall, and we're going to be talking about that in there, that kind of thing. So that will be linked down below. That will be the best way to talk to us about games.
Absolutely.
So join the Discord. You can leave questions there. It's pretty small right now, but it'll grow over time. And
it's like 6 people, I think,
yeah,
2 of them being us.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the greatest thing about having this, and what I've learned from having the BLB server, which you're also welcome to join if you really want to, is that building a community around videos like this is the most important thing, like bar none. I mean, I've made a ton of friends through Discord, the BLB server, and now whenever we put up a video, our friends are excited for it. They are interested in commenting. We were able to have a discussion about it afterward on the Discord, and that's what we want the Nintendo Select server to be. Is you get to know us personally. We're gonna share stupid stories in there. We're gonna send memes. It's gonna like you're gonna bond with us rather than just being like faces on the internet. And when you ask us questions on there, we can have conversations about them both before and after, and you'll be in the know when the episodes are going up and when we're asking for questions and stuff. It's just gonna be so much more cohesive rather than I guess ask me questions on Twitter and maybe we'll see them. But I'm really, really excited for this to get going. I'm genuinely, this is like the best thing that could happen for us.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I was after we recorded last week, I was like, you know what, I think this makes sense. And even just yesterday, when there was like 5 people in there, you were just sitting in the voice channel. I just joined. You were playing Little Deviants while I was just doing something else.
Yeah,
I don't know how often that will be a thing, but yeah, just join the server. Come hang out with us. And talk to us about a game. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the news, Tucker. Like I said, we don't need to talk about these too in depth, I don't think, because I don't think we need to talk about patches too much on this podcast. And we've been talking about them a lot so far. I feel like each week. So this week saw 3 updates for 3 major Nintendo games. So first thing, and this is what I was saying, we record on Thursday. We missed a lot of news Thursday evening, unfortunately, last week, which is what the main story is this week. But Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has been updated to version 1.1.2. They have fixed the duplication glitch, which we were talking about last week. Pokemon Home has been updated to version 3.0. It actually happened. I don't know. They said it was going to come out like May 24th. Then they delayed it, and now it's out now. You can get all your Pokemon transferred over and all that. And then finally, Tucker, Splatoon 3 has been updated to version 4.0 with the new, I think it's Sizzle Season with the new maps, and that's the big meaty update. So you were saying, were you still interested in trying out the challenge mode? That's tomorrow, Tucker, from when we're recording.
The
little like window period.
Yeah, I think I have time tomorrow. Sure.
They're at weird times. Yeah, we're not going to. I can tell by your face.
Well, no, honestly, I didn't realize it was tomorrow. No, I actually do have time tomorrow.
Okay,
so
we'll see
if we want to try it.
It's at weird times. So for those that don't know, they're adding this challenge mode to Splatoon, and the details on it are kind of hazy. It looks like the Halo like party modes or something where it's like everybody has Trizukas. But they didn't in the tweet, they put out a tweet with like the times that you can play. It's this typical Nintendo Splatoon BS where it's like 2-hour periods. Like it's a beta or something. It doesn't say what the challenge mode is. It just says challenge mode, come play it.
Weird.
Very weird. Huh? I don't understand Nintendo with Splatoon. I don't know. The way they do these things is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if I hope it'll be fun though. Yeah. I mean, I have not played that game since.
Me neither.
That it launched,
I did see apparently, the squeezer weapon, Tucker. It's just one of the guns.
Sure. Yeah.
Apparently, there's some glitch now where it just shoots across the map, which is great.
What?
People are just
because of this update.
Yeah, but after this patch, so people are just squeezing it up on the in the Splatlands.
Well, what could cause that to happen? I mean, I don't know game development. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
Especially because Splatoon is a pretty bug-free series, all things considered. I mean, as far as I know, most of the maps and weapons and stuff are pretty balanced. But just squeeze and go across the map now. Sure, why not?
Yeah. But just wanted to cover those 3 updates real quick. We also had, we mentioned this last week, and the second part of it's now available. The Wonderful 101 Remastered has its new DLC available, The Wonderful 1 After School Hero Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
So this was weird because this was kickstarted in 2020. Then 3 years later, they just randomly dropped the DLC weeks apart. I don't... Kamiya, you do you.
I honestly am curious what the content or community or discussion around this is going to be. I mean, this is such it's a 2D random thing to a port of a game that already wasn't very popular. I don't think the port was particularly popular either. It might have been bigger. I don't even know the comparison, but are people making videos about this? Like IGN's not reviewing this. Who's this really for? Is this going to bring people back? What the hell's going on here?
It definitely feels like something they maybe should have done a standalone release for, kind of like Abandoned Origins, just like an eShop game. Just something separate.
Is it? How long is it?
I don't know, but
exactly.
It's 2 parts, so I would imagine each part's probably like an hour or 2, right? So a couple hours.
Okay.
That could be that.
Yeah,
even if they just made it
like a $10 game.
Even if they made it free because it was a Kickstarter thing, because these updates are free. No one's gonna play this. I mean, I'm sure a couple people have. And when I say a couple, I literally mean maybe 100.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, it can't be that big. Yeah.
But that's so out funny. Now if you're interested in playing the Wonderful 101's newest content, a game that came out 10 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
2013 on Wii U, September. This one just popped up earlier today, or a couple days ago. The Front Mission 2 has been delayed. The remake from Forever Entertainment. Of course, Tucker, this is a Square Enix tactics mech game. We'll talk about mechs later. This has been delayed to Q3 2023. Not much to say there. I have a question. Maybe you probably don't have any insight for me because I feel like I'm definitely more Square.
You're square-pilled.
Yeah, I'm square-pilled. So Square Enix owns Front Mission, and they also own like Fear Effect and all this stuff. For some reason, they license it to Forever Entertainment, and I don't know why.
Well, see, Square just doesn't have.
They don't have the bandwidth.
Games.
They don't have the bandwidth.
They don't do that many games, so
it just why would they? Front Mission's like even before these remakes. I knew what Front Mission was. That's a name you just hear throughout the years. You don't play it, but you hear about it.
Sure.
So for them to be willing to publish like a remake of, I don't know, like Tactics Ogre Reborn, which I know is popular, and then not do Front Mission, it's just weird.
Square just makes weird decisions, frankly.
I don't understand. Well, we talked about them later. I don't understand this company. They have a game. They announced the game for Xbox this week, Tucker.
They did?
First Xbox game. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Foam Stars. Oh, wait, no.
No, not Foam Stars. We'll talk about it in the news. There is a game coming to Xbox from Square Enix later this year, and it's just like that'll be the first one in 12 months, I think. Yeah, it's weird.
Crazy.
I don't understand them. Another one we probably don't have a ton to say on because we have talked about it in such detail, but I feel pat on back for me. I didn't think this would happen so fast. The Super Mario Bros. Movie has become the second highest grossing animated movie worldwide, surpassing Frozen, so it is only behind Frozen 2 now, Tucker. Yeah. We had a little debate last week about whether or not it would. You were saying that you thought it would, die down dramatically and not get that extra 30 million or whatever. But it did it.
It did it,
a week.
Yep.
Kind of crazy.
That's crazy. That's wild. Yeah. Huh.
Good for it.
It's not going to be number one.
Probably not. It's let me open up the article here. It's a pretty big gap, I believe.
Yeah. It's a couple $100 million, right?
It would be okay. So Mario movie is at $1.288 billion worldwide. Yeah. Frozen 2 is at $1.45 billion. So it's like it's like a little less than 200 million.
That's a lot.
It is a ton, but if like they do what I said and they kind of just have it playing for years for matinee times for kids. They did 30 million in its 9th week.
Jesus.
It's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
I want to say it's highly likely, but Mario movie doing its thing. All right. This one was pretty contentious this past week, Tucker.
Yeah.
The Dolphin emulator was announced to be coming to Steam. I'd be curious to see where you land on it. I think most people know my stance on this kind of stuff. The Dolphin emulator, of course, for GameCube games and I think also Wii games, popular emulator, was announced by Dolphin, or whoever makes Dolphin, to be coming to Steam, released officially through Steam. You can play it through Steam OS. Steam Deck could be perfect for right.
Yeah. Well, I've got GameCube games on my Steam Deck.
Of course,
it's
not hard.
There's other ways to do it.
It's not hard. Nintendo DMCA'd that, and that release has been indefinitely postponed. Here is Nintendo's statement, Tucker. They said, Nintendo is committed to protecting their hard work and creativity of video game engineers and developers. This emulator illegally circumvents Nintendo's protection measures and runs illegal copies of games. Using illegal emulators or illegal copies of games harms development and ultimately stifles innovation. Nintendo respects the intellectual property rights of other companies and in turn expects others to do the same. So here's the thing. I am not anti-piracy. If you want to, I don't care. I've modded my 3DS. I play on emulators. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I hate people that like brag about it. I can't stand that like mindset.
Sure.
But I saw people freaking out about this. I don't really get why. I guess if it's the thought of like, oh, it's slippery slope, maybe. Of like, oh, well, if they did this on Steam, maybe they're gonna try to take down Dolphin from just like Dolphin.
The internet.
Yeah, the internet.
Yeah.
At this point, Dolphin's way too widespread to do that. I think you'll
Yeah.
always be able to find Dolphin. But their statement about it stifling innovation. How is it stifling innovation?
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. I think that what's most interesting about this comment is it's very like standing up there like with in like a suit, be like, ah, yes, this is bad for the industry for these ways, and we do not support that. We want you to treat us the same way. And it's like, what the fuck are you saying? But I mean, they were trying to sell the emulator, or
It was
maybe
free.
it was
free.
It was free.
It was
Okay,
free.
but like, yeah, I guess, What's interesting about that is, I guess it is more easy to access through Steam, which is an official servers and everything. Like Valve would have to this.
Well, there was something a few weeks ago where I think emulators got removed from Xbox's store, right? And people were freaking out about that.
There were emulators on Xbox's store?
I believe so.
Okay, I did not hear about that.
And people were blaming Nintendo for that as well, which maybe was there for. It probably was them, I'd imagine.
Interesting.
But yeah,
I didn't know about that. It's weird, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I always see people saying like, "Oh, why does Nintendo care? They're not selling these games anymore." Listen. Like I said, if you want to do it, that's fine. But you have to understand they are selling these games. What do you mean they're not?
Some of them, yeah.
They're not. They're selling Mario. Well, bad example. They're not selling Mario.
They're not selling Sunshine.
They're not selling Sunshine. And they're not selling Wind Waker. But they will be like, and this isn't Nintendo, and this is why their quote about like other companies makes sense. Resident Evil 4 is on GameCube. Tales of Symphonia is on GameCube. Baten Kaitos, which is coming out this year, are on GameCube. And Nintendo does release them as well. So, yeah, I think it's totally within their right to hold their catalog hostage. They're their games. I mean, and even like with 3DS games when that shut down. If you don't think Nintendo's going to re-release almost all of those first-party 3DS games in the next 20 years, you're insane. Those games will be re-released.
Nintendo's probably the best at making their games accessible. I mean, they had
so many people would freak out and go, "You're stupid, Tucker," for saying that. But I completely agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, in terms of longevity and how they initially started it. I mean, you can think back to things like Super Mario All-Stars on Super Nintendo being ports of all the Mario games on the NES, and then the classic series on Game Boy Advance. I mean, that was a lot of NES games, and of course you get into the Wii and the Wii U and 3DS, and now the Switch. Like, almost all of their classic games are available and have been available pretty consistently for most of their lifetime. And when you compare that to something like, I think Xbox also does a pretty good job with Game Pass now.
They have now,
and also
in recent memory.
Their store, you can also buy older games directly from their store, which is no one else is really doing. PlayStation does a little bit, but PlayStation is doing the worst right now. They are gonna be like, oh, have a siphon filter. Well, that's it. They got so many games they're not giving us, but Nintendo is very slow at it, and it's weirdly inconsistent. But in terms of making these games accessible over periods of time, for their history, like there's not a lot of time most of these games have not been officially sold, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I get where people's issue with Nintendo arises in that their distribution methods are always kind of weird.
Of course,
currently,
absolutely.
well, for one, starting from you talking about Mario All-Stars, you had to buy that. And then with WiiWare, you had to buy that. And then with 3DS, you had to buy them separately from Wii U. And then now with Switch, you can't buy them. So now you can't even own them, technically. But I don't know. I just don't... People be making issues out of this stuff. Bro, Metroid Fusion has never been easier to play than it has been for the past 10 years. It was on Wii U. It was on... If you were a 3DS ambassador, it was on there. And then it's on Switch now. Like... Yeah, there are... Like, Mario RPG is on Switch, and that sucks. I'd imagine it'll come eventually. Like you said, they're just slow about it. And
then they also had the Super Nintendo Mini and Mario RPGs on there.
Is it?
So like,
okay,
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So like they still are re-releasing these games, and I might have misspoke when I said the best. I think I meant the most consistent, as I was saying. Like they're constantly ways of re-releasing these games. Exactly. It's not great ways. There are better ways it could be done, but they're always doing it in some form or fashion, which I do respect to a degree.
Yeah, I wish they would get better about it, but Dolphin being removed from Steam, I just saw people freaking out about this, and it just seemed like a non-issue to me because it's still available now. Because Nintendo already tried to take this like emulation like legally to court. Like they tried to fight this and they lost. Now if this ends in like 6 months and Dolphin they erase it from the internet, then that's an issue. For game preservation. Let's be honest, guys. You don't care about preserving games. You just want to play them for free. That is most people. Eesh. Tucker, are you a Monster Hunter fan?
I've never actually fully gotten into one. I've played the first few hours of World on PC, and I think I played like 10 minutes of Generations Ultimate on Switch, and then I don't remember why, but I just like sold my copy.
You're like, nope. You 10 minutes in, you were like, nope.
I don't even remember why. Like, I don't think that's not a bad game.
That's fine.
And
it's a 3DS game.
I just didn't commit to it. I think I was just like, look, I don't think I have the time for this, and I'd rather spend my money on something else. So I'm sure I just returned to GameStop, got my $30 or whatever it was, and then bought like Lego City Undercover. Or whatever it was.
as a typical Tucker Hazel does in 2018.
Yep.
Well, Monster Hunter Rise is having its final. Sorry, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Important. Yeah. The DLC is having its final digital event on June 7th. Typically, I would not cover these, but since it's the final one, I thought it was interesting to talk about because I'm like a casual Monster Hunter fan. I didn't even finish Rise, but I loved World and Iceborne, and then I played a little bit of Rise, and it was good. But I've been waiting for that next PS5 Monster Hunter Tucker, and with this happening, I think we are clearly paved the way for a TGS announcement. Because Rise came out in 2021. So if it's announced in late 2023, comes out in 2024, especially because I mean, sure, the Sony showcase last week had Dragon's Dogma in it, but the current lineup for Capcom kind of light. There's no Resident Evil game announced. It's really, it's just Dragon's Dogma and your game Pragmata. So
and well, of course, continuing support for a lot of these things. Resident Evil VR mode still in development. Street Fighter 6's DLC is going to last for 5 or 6 years. So they've got those sort of things. But you're right in terms of new releases. I think a new Monster Hunter, big Monster Hunter, is going to be gigantic for them because
Roto's their best
Capcom
game.
just doesn't. They just don't miss. They just keep.
Dude, keep crazy.
Putting out great shit.
It's crazy.
Like, this has got to be some video I make at some point, or a discussion to have. Like, what were they like? 15 years ago, and then what changed that like since 2017?
Inafune left, bro. Inafune left, and they're like, damn, wait a second, we should make good games.
Yeah. Well, they've just been doing so well, and Street Fighter 6 is coming up tomorrow as of recording, and that's getting like 9s across the board. So
I'm excited.
I'm really excited for that game.
It is interesting. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying this. Monster Hunter World is their best-selling game of all time, I believe. It's like up there. It's a lot.
Are you sure? Is it not the Battle Network collection?
That game sold 30 million copies.
Highest selling game. I think they would probably say Street Fighter 2 and all its versions.
I don't think so. No.
Still not true?
No, I don't think so.
Where's Capcom side? Oh yeah, Monster Hunter World,
which is crazy.
And Monster Hunter Rise is second.
Yeah, no, dude, Monster Hunter is their biggest franchise. You would think it'd be Street Fighter or Resident Evil. It's not even close, I don't think, anymore. Which is crazy because I was there during like the 3DS and even like the PSP days of Monster Hunter, just being.
They count Ice Spice, but that's funny.
So clearly just a Japanese thing, and now it's so worldwide. So obviously Nintendo podcast, but I can't help but be excited at the prospect of, they've only done one Monster Hunter game on the other platforms.
Yeah.
Rise is great, and I think that's one of the best looking Switch games and very impressive for what it is.
Yeah.
But I want that next gen Monster Hunter, baby. That's very exciting.
I will give Monster Hunter a try at some point. It's a series that I have only tangential familiarity with, but I know they're just incredibly high quality games. I just like they're daunting. They're really
very
daunting
games.
I'm like, Jesus, like how am I gonna like learn how to like cook all the stuff and which monsters are gonna drop which talent to upgrade this armor and like what's the point of all that? When I think about Monster Hunter, I'm like, that's terrifying.
It's gotten easier, starting with World.
Sure,
but it's still a lot though. Like I tried playing 3 Ultimate. My current roommate loved 3 Ultimate back in the day, and I tried playing it with him on Wii U. I could not, dude, because there was like loading in between zones, and it's so compromised. But Monster Hunter, I would assume expect an announcement for a new game later this year. And honestly, I wonder, depending on when new hardware comes out, that could also come to Switch too, maybe. If that comes out in like 2025, maybe like with the DLC. No more PS4 exclusivity there.
Yeah, it depends on how powerful this next system is. I mean, if it's being designed for current gen
Sure.
hardware, we expect their next system to be like at least early last
It'll be like
gen
a
power.
PS4, portable PS4 power,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
We'll see. But also Capcom's pretty good at you know what? There might be a cloud version of it.
God. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard cloud version.
I'm just saying. I'm just being
Oh
realistic.
my God,
here.
they released 8, 2, and 3,
Village.
didn't they?
Yeah,
They did.
Yeah.
I want to see the
Wild.
stats of that and like the Kingdom Hearts collection. Who is buying these? Because the thing is, you're
I have
not
no
renting it. You're buying it for full price. Who's doing that?
The Kingdom Hearts one is even crazier because like most of those games could run on Switch, and I mean 3 if it was downgraded.
I think 3 could run on Switch.
Yeah, I think it could run on Switch too.
Yeah,
but they just like
Unreal
you.
Engine game. So yeah, absolutely, they could absolutely downscale that.
Weird.
Fucking Square Enix. God, Square Enix. Why? That's the most baffled. Like, and that was the thing is that was last year when they released the game every fucking 2 days.
Yeah,
you couldn't spare the dime for a Kingdom Hearts 1 port.
Crazy. I would have bought that. I don't even like Kingdom Hearts.
I would have loved a Kingdom Hearts collection on Switch, and we just never got it.
In terms of just having like access to that game on current gen hardware, the Switch, and having it like with me wherever I want, I would like to give Kingdom Hearts also a try. That would really be the only way I really get into it. But I'm not playing on the fucking cloud version. I'm not doing it. You can't make me.
Just get it on PS5.
Fuck you, Square.
It's fine.
Oh, God.
It's a PlayStation franchise. All right. Not much to say here, but it was surprising. I've always been looking at these. Pokemon shirts by Original Stitch. We will not talk about clothing very often on this podcast, Tucker. But when we do, it will be Pokemon related. So there's like this really like nice brand of Pokemon designed shirts, and I've always seen people like wearing like the full Pokemon suits, and they actually look really good. This entire company, I think, it's just going out of business in 2 weeks randomly. They had new designs like a week ago added for I believe Sinnoh Pokemon. For those that don't know, they're just like nice button up, like dress shirts, but they have a design for every single Pokemon from each region. Up to Sinnoh, I believe that's where they capped off. They might have some Alola in there because that's when it started. But yeah, this just randomly 2 weeks notice shutting down. So if you want to get some Pokemon shirts,
bizarre.
They're very nice. I still they're expensive though, as you would expect with any nice clothing. I'm kind of tempted, but
yeah.
It's always weird to see something that like Nintendo or Pokemon's involved with just shutting down clearly from a lack of money. Which we'll be talking about in a bit.
Yeah.
We had 2 resignations from companies this week, Tucker. So Hip Tanaka, or Hirokazu Hip Tanaka, a little hip name, little nickname there, has stepped down from the role of executive director at Creatures Inc. Of course, the company that is most known for like helping with or manage. What do they do exactly? They like manage Pokemon spinoffs and also the trading card game, I believe.
Pokemon is such a weird IP in terms of like how it's published, developed, and like proliferated, because it's such a complicated thing of like all these different kinds of media need to like work together in order to like synergize and put things out together. But whenever you start up a Pokemon game and it's like there's like 4 different groups that like worked on it and you're like, huh? Like what did you guys all do? But I don't know what Creatures does. But that sounds reasonable. What you like positive them doing. But I cannot confirm or deny that statement.
Sure. I know Creatures at the very least developed Detective Pikachu. So that's what they've been working on for the past 20 years. Detective Pikachu on Switch. Still waiting on it, Tucker.
But, it was announced.
It was announced.
Well, it was like half-assed.
It was announced. It was just straight up announced.
In 2018.
2019.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
No, I thought it was.
No, it was the Pokemon Sleep event, 2019. It was a while ago. It's still a long time.
Still, yeah.
But
semantics at that point.
But yeah, Hirokazu Tanaka leaving Creatures. Well, actually, no. Correction. Sorry, not leaving. Following in Miyamoto's footsteps, and becoming their creative fellow of the Pokemon franchise. For those that don't know, Hirokazu Tanaka was a composer, which is weird. You don't typically see composers become directors and like executive directors at companies.
Yeah.
But he was, of course, composer on Pokemon as well as Metroid and Earthbound. So definitely, I don't know if he's going to stop making music. Creative fellow could still easily fall under that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at
Staffing
some
change.
of the games he worked on here. I mean, he did the Dr. Mario soundtrack, and that goes
Okay.
fucking dummy.
Goes dummy, dude.
Mario Paint, that's got a good soundtrack.
Sure. Yeah.
And then he's a producer on some games, which is interesting. Poke Park Wii, Poke Park 2.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it sounds like
Huh.
looks like he hasn't done too much music recently. Actually, he did some arrangements for all the Smash Bros. Games.
Oh, he did the music for Super Mario Land. Oh, that game has a great soundtrack. That's it.
Interesting.
Godspeed. Yeah, but it's bizarre that like he seems to have a bunch of different roles, working on music, sound effects, and then transitioning more into like director
supervisor,
and
producer.
producer. Huh.
He worked on Pokemon Art Academy under the Pokemon trading card development. What?
Interesting. He did the Japanese opening and closing themes for a bunch of the Pokemon
Yeah,
anime.
I see that. So I guess he actually like wrote those. That's cool.
Hmm.
So yeah, not leaving creatures, just becoming their creative fellow. Which I remember when Miyamoto pronounced himself as creative fellow of Nintendo. People were like, that's not real, Miyamoto, but you do you.
Yeah,
it's definitely taken in his footsteps. We did have another big. This is a much bigger departure because this person actually left the company. Talking about Capcom, Mega Man producer Kazuhiro Tsuchiya has left Capcom. I saw Ash Paulson from GVG losing his mind about this because a lot of people are saying that spells doom and gloom for the Mega Man franchise, because apparently this man was producer of the series since the early 90s, and just kind of like the champion at Capcom for this franchise, the one holding its flag up and pushing for Mega Man. Of course, did Mega Man 11 most recently, and also did Street Fighter 6. So I saw a lot of people freaking out about this. To be honest, as someone who's a casual Mega Man fan, I like the classic NES games, and I haven't played 11 or even 9 or 10. I feel like this is a good thing. I'm gonna be honest.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
I mean,
I get it. It's scary that like the person who would proclaim Mega Man as their baby is leaving. That's scary, but all this man's done for Mega Man in the past 2 decades is one game, and maybe some collections.
We don't know his involvement in the collections, which are probably the best thing to ever happen to Mega Man.
Absolutely,
to be 100% honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, Mega Man is probably more relevant now, or at least more accessible now than the series has ever been. I mean, if I wanted to, I could go buy like 95% of every Mega Man game that's ever existed for like, I don't know, $70 total.
Yeah.
Especially if they're on sale, which a lot of them do. Those collections go on sale a lot. I have not played 11. I was actually thinking about getting that and just giving it a try and being like the only current modern Mega Man game. I've always found that game to be very fascinating. But I do think that a new direction for Mega Man is probably needed. So any new direction that someone else is given the reins of this series, I think will be a good thing for that series, because we've visited every well to like rewind the nostalgia back to. These collections will continue to be available going forward. We don't see the Xbox or PlayStation stores changing in the future. They're just sort of existing in perpetuity, at least as what we know. So every Mega Man game is available on modern hardware and will be for the foreseeable future. So they got to start talking about what's next. Like, we can't just. They've been releasing these collections, and people are like, "Oh, where's ZX? That happened. Where's X? That happened. Where's Battle Network? That happened." It's like, guys, we're really close.
Yeah, I would say
finishing.
There's still a couple more collections they can do, and I do expect them to do. They can definitely do Legends, and that'll be a big one because those games are expensive, and they aren't available at all right now. I don't know how they would frame it. Just some like a miscellaneous collection with like Mega Man and Base and the Mega Man soccer game, like that kind of stuff. Maybe the game are the Game Boy Mega Man games on anything, like the Wily Wars and all. Or not Wily Wars. Is it Wily Wars? There's a bunch of Game Boy Mega Man games.
Yeah, there are Game Boy Mega Man games that have the same names as other Mega Man games, but aren't the same game. There's like a Mega Man 5 that's not the same as Mega Man 5. I've only played Mega Man 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the only ones I have any experience with, and I'd like to be more into Mega Man. I find it to be an interesting franchise. It's not like my biggest cup of tea in terms of like how much I enjoy playing them, but it's it's got to be like one of the most prolific franchises of all time. Like they just kept making fucking Mega Man games and just like spin-offs and spin-offs of spin-offs and then like 10 entries for each of those series. Like, huh? Who's buying?
It is weird because you're right. And to be fair, Mega Man's been around since the 80s, but
Of course.
that was all released within the span of 15 years.
Yeah,
There's been nothing since then.
9, 10, and 11 and collections are really all we've gotten in like our lifetimes.
So
or close to that.
Yeah. For me, I don't see Tsuchiya leaving as a bad thing. If anything, I could see it. Hopefully, I mean, it could backfire. Maybe Capcom doesn't even put anybody else on the franchise. And the thing is, Mega Man is, as we discussed when we talk about the Battle Network sales numbers, it's the best-selling Mega Man game already.
Yeah.
That only sold 1 million copies. This is a small franchise. When you think of Mega Man, you think like, oh, that's a big name franchise. It isn't. All right, people know what it is, but people don't buy it.
Of course.
So I don't know how much interest Capcom has in a game of that scale in terms of sales, especially now that they are making these mega blockbuster hits that sell 10 million copies every time without fail.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But
after all these collections, they have to be looking to the future.
Yeah, and I think that modern Capcom is like the safest bet for them reinventing a franchise, which they've done pretty consistently across their history, and seeing it be incredibly successful. I mean, they brought back Resident Evil from people not liking 2 of the games, and then Resident Evil is more popular now and more widespread now than it ever has been. They saved Street Fighter from people like, oh, 5's not that good, and now 6 seems to be the biggest thing. Monster Hunter is bigger than it ever has been. They've been doing collections for obviously Mega Man, but also Ace Attorney. It's like, I think that if they can do a different AAA kind of Mega Man game that is on the level of what they've been doing in terms of reinventing their franchise, I think Mega Man could be bigger now. Because think about it, if they put out a big Mega Man game with like the production value of their other games, that will sell over 1 million copies. It will undoubtedly become the best-selling Mega Man game within like 2 weeks. Like
less than that, I would hope.
Simple.
Yeah. So
it's simple. Just make a great game. Come on, Capcom.
They can do it. I don't know. Do you make Mega Man 3D? I don't think that's the answer.
I don't know, but I mean, even if it was, but it was a different kind of 3D and not what Legends did, that is just like a third-person action game of some kind that uses Mega Man's world and characters and sort of cartoony aesthetic, that's already, I'm sold on that, 100%.
Sure. Yeah.
It might not be what Mega Man was, but like maybe that's the next step for Mega Man. We need to see that next step. We can't get Mega Man 12 that's another 2D game and sells less than 1 million copies, and that's it. They got to reinvent things. And moving on to the next person who's going to like hold the reins of Mega Man, I think is going to be the key to that.
For sure. I would also expect, I do think like a new Battle Network game, and that can stay small. That can be like a small niche thing for in the future. No. So yeah, I'm excited to see the future of Mega Man. Although I was also saying that in 2018 when Mega Man 11 came out. So that was 5 years ago. maybe it is that. Who knows? So I saw some people misreporting this a little bit earlier. People were saying it actually happened. I myself was a little confused. But I want to say it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of sad that this entire situation has escalated to this point. But Yuji Naka, creator of Sonic, of course, was found to be insider trading at Square Enix and was facing a lot of legal troubles because of that. The prosecutors on that case have suggested, he hasn't been sentenced yet, but they are suggesting that he should spend 2.5 years in prison. So if Yuji Naka, man's going to Bali and Wonderworld.
Now here's the thing about this. He committed a crime. He's going through the due process. It's only funny to us, and the only reason we care is because a guy who was once relevant to the games industry is now facing legal problems, and that's like kind of outwardly funny.
It's the fucking image of him wearing the Bali and Wonderworld hat that everybody uses. Every time I see that image, I'm like, oh my god.
God. This man. You know what the funniest outcome of this could be, though? Yuji Naka spends 2.5 years in prison. It changes him as a man. But he still has his passion and love for video games. He comes out of prison, he's fucking changed. He's seen some shit. His eyes are sullen. He's lost a ton of weight. And then he's like, I still want to make games. And he designs he designs the next Yuji Naka, like, kind of goofy, weird character, cartoony world, but it's got a dark edge to it. And because this man has seen some shit, and it's changed his creative direction. Oh, God.
Godspeed, Yuji Naka. I hope all the best.
2.5 years for making Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah, that's what you
Actually,
get.
he should go to jail for longer for that. That's a bigger crime than insider trading.
Jesus Christ. All right, sucker. Let's get into what we're playing. So I'll start because I only have one game, and you have a lot of games.
Okay.
So like I said at the top, I have been kind of just chilling after Zelda. Been reading a lot of manga, but I have been, like I said, playing Warzone. But I did notice the other night, there was a beta available for a video game that I actually made a video on this channel maybe 2 years ago. It was announced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back before this channel kind of got a little bit of a following. My Hero Ultra Rumble. I love me a good anime game. The Naruto Storm games are honestly some of my favorite games. I love that series. I think they're genuinely good games. And although I don't love Demon Slayer, the Demon Slayer game they made was also good. But My Hero is not my favorite thing. I think My Hero is kind of mid, to be honest. But I enjoy it. And I played One's Justice, which was a more traditional 3D arena fighter, and I enjoyed it for what it was, just typical fan service kind of stuff. My Hero Ultra Rumble, Tucker, is and the beta is over now, I believe. So I don't know when this is actually coming out, but My Hero Ultra Rumble is, I want to say, the first anime battle royale. So if you're familiar with My Hero Academia, of course it's all these students they're called quirks, and they're in this hero school, and there's a lot of like training they do, and there's one specific arc where they're like in like this enclosed environment, and like they have to like help people, and like there's like a mock exam basically, like, oh, can you be a hero? That's what this game is based on. So the map is just that training area, and you drop in with I think 10 teams of 3. It's a pretty small map. This is one of the most unpolished games I have ever played.
I gotta look up some gameplay of this one.
Dude, it is... I'm okay with some jank. I'm okay with jank. I'm fine with it. But I was having bugs out the ass. It's really funny because, they just took My Hero and basically made it kind of look and feel like how Fortnite feels, and similar mechanics.
Oh God, I clicked on a gameplay video and I muted it because I didn't want to hear the guy. Hey guys, welcome back.
Horrible present mic voice, yeah.
And immediately, it's got Fortnite written all over it.
Yes.
Health bars, the sort of like green of the trees, the cell shading on the characters. This is hilarious.
It's rough, but there was one specific glitch I had where it has the Fortnite items. It has there are chug jugs, Tucker.
Oh, are they really?
That's awesome. And shields and stuff. So your My Hero character will just be sitting there drinking a chug jug. But my game glitched so many times where I couldn't even use them. And just weird stuff like this kept happening. The gameplay, I would need to like look at the Reddit for this game if there's a community for it, and just see what people are like, people that are really diving deep into it, how they're feeling. It doesn't feel balanced at all, and maybe you wouldn't expect it to be balanced because it's fucking My Hero Ultra Rumble. But you have, I was playing as a Mountain Lady, which is this lady who can just get big. She could just actually get big at any point and just shoot at people.
How big?
Pretty big, like big enough to see across the entire map. Okay. You will see, you will be. It is kind of, there was the emerging gameplay, make your own story. There are some cool situations where like I was fighting some other squad or something, and I look across the map and I just saw a big mountain lady in the distance. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like the way the abilities work in this game is weird. You get skill cards from loot chests and from fallen enemies to level up your abilities mid-match, which is like an interesting concept, but it doesn't really work that well. And worst of all, Tucker, and to be fair, free-to-play game. It is going to be free-to-play when the official release comes out. There is a battle pass. There are not just loot boxes. There are gacha rolls, like tickets to do gachas for costumes, and there's going to be an in-game shop.
Perfect.
It's certainly I based on the UI and even just the way the game looks itself. I'm fairly confident in saying this game was probably meant to be a mobile game, and then they were like, let's just put it on console. Yeah. So. My Hero Ultra Rumble, not great, but I played maybe a couple hours of it last night and the night before, and I'll never play it again. But we are in like a dire state right now as anime game fans. Naruto Shinobi Striker, as much as I played it, not the best. Much better than this. One's Justice wasn't that great either.
No, yeah, I have played both. I played One's Justice. I was excited for One's Justice 2, but I didn't get it for
I heard
whatever
that one's
reason.
way better, to be fair.
Sure. Well, my only experience is with One's Justice, which I played on Switch, and me and my friends kind of liked it because we were into My Hero in high school, and we were like, oh, this is kind of goofy, and oh, look, I can play it as like Ida and Bakugo and all those guys, and it's just like, but always you're like clipping through the walls, and like the game like stutters when you like load up this like character select screen, and for whatever reason the Switch cartridge that I got doesn't like work every time you put it in your Switch, so you gotta like pop it out and like wait
That's
around
not
a
worth
little
it.
bit,
It's
like
not
put it
worth
back in, and it's just like, and it like won't show up, or it's just like card cannot be read, and it's like that's the only game I ever had that issue with. But when I played that game, I had a dumb fun with. I haven't seen any My Hero in like 4 years at this point, but a battle royale with these characters is not a bad idea, but it just sounds like they are capitalizing on the two converging markets of My Hero being one of the biggest modern anime, and also battle royales being
It's 3
the
years
biggest
late
thing.
though, bro. It's 3 years
Yeah,
late.
yeah.
This feels like a product
Everyone's
of
doing that
2019.
though.
I guess.
They-
I feel like most companies have already gotten past that point.
Sure.
Similarly bad, really buggy, terrible game that Bandai Namco released last year was Dragon Ball: The Breakers, which was a Dead by Daylight
right.
clone, and that game's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Similar vibes, definitely similar vibes.
Yeah.
I think this is better than that, but
You know, there's also similar to this. The Final Fantasy mobile battle royale.
oh my god,
Final Fantasy
the first
7
soldier or
something.
something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I remember seeing gameplay. I'm like,
I kind of wanted to play
this is a
that.
Final Fantasy?
I feel like that low key would have been a bop.
It's gotta be.
I
dead though, right?
yeah, no, they shut it down. They already shut it down. I had a mutual on
okay.
Twitter that was like really into it.
That's bizarre. That's crazy.
I feel like if that would have been on console or PC, I would have probably downloaded it. But
Yeah.
My Hero Ultra Rumble not doing it. I am excited for next week. Obviously, we still have to get to what you're playing. But like I said, I have Diablo preloaded, so we'll be talking about Diablo next week, and I'm probably gonna cave and buy Street Fighter. So 2 video games releasing.
Yeah.
But Tucker, speaking of Street Fighter, let's get into what you're playing.
Yeah, so we've got our document, and I write down the games that I've been playing. You write down this game you've been playing, and I put Street Fighter.
Normally you don't.
And no, well, I did this time.
You
though,
tell-
right?
yeah.
Let's be clear. I didn't claim to always do it. I put Street Fighter, and I say Street Fighter because through this week I played every Street Fighter game. I had bought the 30th anniversary collection late last year and played a little bit with my friend. So we played a couple months ago a bit of Street Fighter 1, which is terrible. The game fucking sucks. But then we played all the versions of Street Fighter 2, and then we stopped because we had been doing it for a couple hours. I'm like, this is enough. And then Street Fighter 6 is coming out, and me and my friends are talking about it. We're like, oh, this game seems kind of cool, and the reviews sound pretty good. And we're like, hold on. I still have the 30th anniversary collection, which not only has 1 and every version of 2, I think there's like 5 versions of 2, but all 3 versions of Alpha and all 3 versions of 3. And I'm like, I've never played these games. And we start up 3 in Alpha, and I'm like, I don't even recognize half these characters. This is fucking crazy. Like, I felt like I knew Street Fighter, at least in a tangential sense, and I'm like, Necro 12, what G, what the hell's going on here? Or no, G's no, Q, G is in 5. And so then I spent like 2 days just like honed in on Street Fighter. We were talking last week about fighting games, with 6 coming out and Mortal Kombat 1 being officially revealed within the last few weeks, how we both were like kind of on the outskirts, and they seemed interesting, but we didn't have much experience with them. And I don't have in-depth experience, but at least now I have a cursory experience with each of the games, except for 5. I still want to get to that. I think I'll play the story mode of that before I go down into 6.
Yeah, I told you that.
I just downloaded it today. But I played all 3 versions of Alpha, all 3 versions of 3. I played some 4. And I really dig Street Fighter. I don't understand it. I'm still button mashing. I've never done a combo before. But I'm really excited to dig into 6 and then have that sort of retroactively inform my experience with the other games. But it's just really cool to like really dive headfirst into a series as prolific as this. I mean, I played 7 different entries in a video game franchise this week. I didn't play for very long, probably 20 minutes each. But it was really, really cool. Have you played any of these games?
So I was one of the schmucks, Tucker, in 2017 that fell for Capcom's bullshit.
Oh yeah,
And I bought Street Fighter
Ultra Street Fighter
2,
2,
the final challengers,
Let's
which had
go.
added what Dark
The way
Ryu and
Hadouken.
Dark Ken, and yeah, there was like the 3D Hadouken mode.
Violent Ken, excuse me.
Yeah.
Evil Ryu and Violent Ken, which is fucking
Oh
crazy.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I paid $40 for that back in 2017, and I played a little bit of it. It was Here's the thing, and I'll get to I have a question for you, but
Sure.
I aren't these all playing through each version of Street Fighter 2 and playing through each version of Street Fighter Alpha, which is Street Fighter 3, right?
Well, Alpha was between 2 and 3, but there is a game called Street Fighter 3.
Oh my! I didn't. Okay, Street Fighter 3 new generation. Okay,
yeah,
sure. Playing them all at once like that, did you notice differences in between them?
Actually, yeah. I think that in terms of playing them like back to back, being able to swap between them on especially the 30th anniversary collection, which you just like press quit, go to a menu, and then it starts up the other game, whichever one you choose. Games A have slightly different art styles, or they'll have, each game has a different roster. There's no two games with the same roster. So from that point of view, and also the like character select screen always looks a little different. So you're getting a little different vibe, a couple different stages for each game, but also in terms of the mechanics that I didn't engage with, there are differences in like which kind of supers and which kind of blocks and which kind of V meter or S meter. Like there's always something weird in each of these games. But the main thing that it felt to me was the different characters and the character select screen, but they each have a different, like slightly different speed. So when you're playing one game and then you start another one that has a slightly different speed, you're like, whoa, this feels completely different. Street Fighter 2 Turbo is like 1.3 times as fast as the other version of Street Fighter 2. And so like you feel like you're zipping around, like doing crazy shit. And then you jump to Street Fighter 3 and the characters have like 6 times the amount of frames of animation. You're like, whoa. So the games are similar within their sub-series. The Alpha games are similar, the 3 games are similar, the 2 games are similar, but when you're like jumping between all of them like that, it was sort of like a holistic and like mildly different, but like I enjoy them sort of as a collective. I couldn't tell you like which character shows up in which, or like which games are significantly faster or more different than the other ones, but because I've only spent 20 minutes with each game or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I played Final Challengers. I think I beat it. I probably put a couple hours into it, maybe.
What does that mean? Is there like the arcade mode?
Yeah, I think dude, it was. Okay. I was fucking 16 when that shit came out. I don't remember.
Yeah, of course.
And then my brother had Street Fighter 4 and 360 growing up, so I played a little bit of that. And then last year I actually did play through the story mode of 5, which there was a lot to do. I think it was just like a standard arcade mode, so they had like different perspectives. I only did one of the different campaigns they did for that. It's what I said a couple weeks ago about fighting games. It's so cool. I want to like this and be really good at it. I think Mortal Kombat is more interesting to me than Street Fighter, but Street Fighter as well is just, it's inherently cool. If you don't think Street Fighter looks cool, I don't know what to tell you. I'm excited for Street Fighter 6, man.
Yeah. And for Street Fighter 6, for me, I think it's especially from what I heard from the reviews, it seems like they're a really good jumping in point for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Modern control scheme, which is definitely gonna help.
Well, they added they added like a simple mode where you can just press a button, I think, right?
Well, there's that, but there's also modern controls, which makes it play more like Smash. So there's like direction plus a button is a different kind of move.
Right.
Like one button to do a special. Instead of like quarter circle Z up down left right.
I was reading something about it. The way they did it is interesting. So I think what you have is you have like your simple mode, but you actually do less damage, but your moves go faster.
Yeah, and you also because you have easier access to like your specials.
Sure.
Or like your projectiles and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
it balances out.
It should be a pretty good jumping in point for both of us. I mean, obviously you've played pretty much every game in the franchise now, and I've played a couple, but I feel
not
like
enough to know what I'm doing
6 is our actual jumping in point.
It absolutely is.
So we'll have a lot to talk about next week with Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
I am worried. You told me that apparently like the story mode is like 25 hours. They bloated it. I'm very scared of that.
I've heard very mixed things about World Tour. But I am interested in it in a cursory level to introduce me to the mechanics.
Sure, I'm sure it's a good tutorial, essentially.
Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I really hope that there's a way to like sort of just like get through it without having to spend a ton of time in it. But we'll see. I mean, we'll have the game tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I'm a physical collector.
Yeah,
through and through. But I pre-ordered Diablo digitally. I think with PS5, I think I don't care. Like, it's just Switch games.
Now,
I know
here's
are
the
gonna
question.
retain their value, so it's like it's different.
Yeah, that's a good point. But will you care? Is there a chance that you will care in the future? I'm like, damn, I really wish I'd gotten these.
There's a slight chance, and at that point, I will buy the $10 copy on eBay if I really
That's a great
care.
point.
I'll
That's
just
an
buy it
excellent
again
point.
if it is cheap. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for Street Fighter 6 and like I said, Diablo. But what else have you been playing, Tucker? You have a lot on your list.
Okay, all
A
right.
lot of bangers.
A lot of weird shit.
10 out of 10 masterpieces on your list, boy.
I may have mentioned on the podcast last week, or I think I mentioned maybe afterward, that I was interested in Space Channel 5.
We were talking about Samba de Amigo. When I did the timestamps, Tucker, we actually talked about it for 15 minutes.
That's fucking crazy. Well, we spun it off into other things.
It was just rhythm games, but yeah.
Yeah. So I actually did find a Street Fighter. No, God, Jesus, Street Fighter 5
It's on the brain.
Game.
It's on the brain.
Space Channel 5. I got that on my Steam Deck. I was playing the PS2 version called Space Channel 5 Special Edition, which is supposed to also have Space Channel 5 Part 2 in it, but I couldn't, like, maybe I needed to, like, download the separate file that's, like, the other disc or something. I couldn't find that, but I beat Space Channel 5, and what a weird game, man. I mean, we were talking about Mitsuguchi when we were talking about Humanity a couple weeks ago, and then how Tetris Effect is so awesome, and this guy did Res, but he started with Space Channel 5, a Sega series where you play as a space reporter named Ulala. Her name is Ulala, which is spelled Ulala.
Ulala. Yeah.
Yes. And aliens are making people dance, and so you copy their moves, and it's just like Simon Says, and I really, really enjoyed Space Channel 5. And now this comes with the caveat that this game is very difficult. I mean, it's very specific button presses, and it gets fast, and it gets hard, and I used save states because I just wanted to see it to the end, which is how I play a lot of games that are intended to be more skill-based, that I am able to sort of cheese with rewind and save states and stuff. For me, that's not a problem, and I have a better experience having completed it rather than like half-assing it and like just stopping. But I really, really enjoyed Space Channel 5. The music is fantastic. It's kind of got this big band jazz vibe. I don't know if you've seen the Austin Powers movies, but it's got sort of like the bossa
sure. Yeah.
sort of vibe to the music. It's a really interesting like combination between 3D animated character models and then like pre-rendered backgrounds, sort of like, you know, Final Fantasy VII or something. But the character animation is really great. I mean, every character on the screen is doing like fully choreographed dance moves, and which were obviously like motion captured or something. So because they look really good. And as you like go through the stage and beat the aliens, the people that you save join you and become your backup dancing crew.
That's
and
awesome.
So by the end of the stage, you got like this giant triangle of people that are like partying behind you and copying your moves, and you're just like, I really, really enjoyed it. It's a series you don't hear too much about, but it's also like one of the first Dreamcast games I've ever like gotten into and seen to the end. Actually, I played Sonic Adventure earlier this year, but I'm
sorry.
Yeah, bizarre, but really, really cool. I enjoyed the.
What'd you play this one with emulator with save states? Just an emulator or?
Yeah, on a PS2 emulator on my Steam Deck.
Sure. Yeah, Space Channel 5 is a weird series. I've never played it. I'm gonna be honest. For the longest time, I didn't even know it was a rhythm game. I just thought it was just a weird game. It was just a weird game I would see pop up. I would see Ooh La La on like Sega marketing and just be like, what is that?
Yeah, she's still around in like a half-assed.
They kind of they made it. I think there's a VR game, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I don't remember what it's called, but I don't have VR, so I can't play that. But I did start Space Channel 5 Part 2. I was able to actually purchase that on Steam. There's an up-res version of that.
Oh, cool.
But I don't have save states on Steam.
Yeah, get good, Tucker.
The game is fucking hard.
No cheating.
But it is better than Space Channel 5 Part 1. So I want to beat Space Channel 5 Part 2. I might end up just like finding it on.
Is the first game on Steam?
No, just 2. I don't know why, but
it's unfortunate. I was thinking about I kind of want to play it. I like rhythm games, and I
go for 2 though. Honestly, 2 is probably the better game. So if you were gonna get 1 on Steam,
sure,
and it's not on Steam, just go for 2.
I guess
and it's only $8 full price.
Oh, okay. I might then. Yeah, because this like era of rhythm games is just gone. You were talking about Parappa last week. That's gone. Yeah. Space Channel's gone. I haven't played it, but Vib Ribbon. I haven't played it yet because I'm not trying to hook up a PS1, but the what's it called? Fucking Busta Groove. Yeah, Busta Groove.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I got both of those. My half price had them for really cheap. Well, not cheap by what they're going for. So I bought those on a whim, and those are just like cult classic. These types of rhythm games don't exist, and
No, not anymore,
they're
actually.
fun. I like them. I want more of this vibe coming back.
Yeah, especially because they just have like such weird worlds and unique styles of music. I did play through both for Apple 1 and 2 earlier this year, and I really, really enjoyed those games. 2, I think, is the better game out of the two of those. And I played Vib Ribbon on my PlayStation Vita, which we'll get to in a second.
Have you played
Jammer
Lammy?
No, I have not played Jammer Lammy, though I've heard that game is hard as balls.
Yeah, for that. Yeah.
I want to get to that eventually, though. But I like all the PS1 era rhythm games that I played. PS1/Dreamcast era games.
That era, they went crazy. Dude, I cannot believe we never got like a Splatoon 3DS like rhythm game or something.
Game?
Yeah.
How?
How? That it makes they already had Squid Beats.
I also played Leaping Agents this year.
Is that good? I've always heard that's like people are always like, oh, that's like one of the best DS games. I've never played a Leaping Agents.
It's great. It's fantastic.
That's Nintendo, isn't it? Nintendo published?
Yeah.
I get to that. Tucker, which game do you want to talk about next?
We talked about the Vita, so we got to talk about the Vita next.
I'm scared of
you.
Boom.
We said it. Last week I said I bought a game on eBay on a whim and it was Little Deviants for $9. And you said you're not going to play that game. And I said you're probably right. But I don't know if it was spite.
I think you just were trying to spite me.
I think it's a combination of spite and morbid curiosity that I popped in Little Deviants. I'm like, oh, okay, what's this? Just start it up, just like sort of see what it stands as a launch Vita game that is kind of the Wii Sports analog, where it's like showing you what all the different features of the system can do. So it's heavily using microphone, front touch, back touch, tilt, in multiple different ways. But then I beat the game.
You actually played it all in one sitting.
I played through like 6.5, 7 hours of this goddamn game.
That long? Oh my god.
Yeah,
dude.
There are 30 level. Well, that might be a little.
You could have played half of the Xenoblade 3 DLC in that time.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point. But
every time you play a stupid game, I'm just gonna say like how that quantifies with the Xenoblade 3 DLC.
Sure. Yeah. But the interesting thing about Little Deviants is I find games that launched early in a console's life cycle and that weren't well received, but still have interesting ideas to be very fascinating. I mean, last year I played The Order 1886, which I thought was way better than people give it credit for. And I also played earlier this year. I didn't finish it, but Rise Son of Rome, which is an Xbox
I've
One
heard good things about that game.
Early launch game, and which got a lot of shit. And it was fine. But Little Deviant, I think, is the worst out of those three. But I still thought it was kind of dopey and silly and charming, and it does use goofy, gimmicky features. And for a sort of mini-game, high-score-based collection, there's a good amount to do here. You play as the Little Deviants. There's 5 different ones. There's an orange one, which is kind of just a normal one, and then there's a blobby one, an ice one, a fire one, and one made of like nuclear waste. And they have like dumb little names, and there's just a bunch of different little sort of mobile mini games, and some of them I liked way more than others, but the ones that I liked, I really liked, and especially because this game does feature heavy use of the Vita's back touchpad, which this is the only system to ever have a back touchpad. It's actually kind of fun to combine a back touchpad and a front touchpad, and the way that can change how you're designing even a very simple game. There was a couple levels that were doors would open and you have to tap on the robots to defeat them and avoid hitting the humans and the Little Deviants. And depending on which way the robots are facing, you either tap them on the front touchpad or the back touchpad. And that's an extra layer of gimmickry on a very simple gameplay concept that would have been way easier if it was just tap on the guy if you see the guy. But okay, I got to think, is it facing forwards? Then I press on the back to knock it forwards, or I tap it on the front if it's facing backwards to knock it backward. That's like a very simple thing, but I really like when game designers can use specific hardware in very unique ways to make a game that there's nothing like Little Deviants. Mostly because no one made games for the fucking Vita, or specifically for the Vita using its hardware. But I enjoyed it more than I probably should have. It's not a very good game. But I didn't hate my time with it, and I'm glad I saw it to the end because now I can just say I beat Little Deviants, because otherwise I'd be like, oh yeah, I played 20 minutes of it and it was fine. But like that's
Well, you
way
played
less
7
interesting
hours. You
than
played
saying
7 hours of Little Deviants.
that's way less interesting than me saying I beat Little Deviants.
Well, out of curiosity, I was wondering who developed that because I knew it was a Sony first
Big
party
Big.
game. Yeah, Big Big. They closed down
They
before
killed
the
the
game.
studio.
They killed the studio before it released in America.
So
Yeah,
funny.
in January
Yeah.
2012. They were a spinoff of Evolution. So, rest in peace, Big Big. The only other games they made were Pursuit Force on PSP
Yep.
and then Motorstorm PSP game. And also, sorry, Motorstorm Arctic Edge on PSP and PS2 in 2009.
That's crazy. And they also did the second Pursuit Force game, Extreme Justice.
What is Pursuit Force?
It's a PSP action series where you're like a cop and you jump from car to car. And you
Cluster
shoot
Truck.
people.
Every game is just Cluster Truck.
No, but like you don't have to like. I don't think you have to like aim yourself
Sure.
to like get on the car. It's just that while it's like a crazy action chase scene going on, you are jumping from car to car and taking out criminals. Those games are actually both available on PS Plus Premium.
Oh, they're on there? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which is how I found out about Big Big in the first place. I was like, what the hell is Pursuit Force? I'm like, this is a Sony first party game? That's weird. So I might play Pursuit Force sometime soon.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
just
big,
want to
big
say,
fan.
yeah, you're a big fan. I just want to say, I got a Vita at launch. Eventually, I sold it. I don't have one anymore. I want to get it again. Highly recommend if you want a kind of gimmicky, fun puzzle game on Vita. Escape Plan. It was a digital game.
Oh, I
That game's
definitely want
fun.
to get that.
That
That's a
game's
launch
fun.
game, I believe.
Yeah, it was. It's also on PS4, but play it on Vita.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but look, I was curious. I looked up the PS Vita launch lineup. Listen, the Nintendo, or sorry, this is a Nintendo podcast, but PlayStation did not support it at all post release. However, the launch lineup for the Vita, low key, probably one of the best launch lineups of all time. Bro, they got Uncharted Golden Abyss,
which I played and I actually
and,
really
and to be
enjoyed.
fair, a lot of these are ports, but Uncharted Golden Abyss, Wipeout 2048, an Asphalt game, Blaze Blue, Dynasty Warriors Next, Luminous, PVZ, Rayman Origins, Touch My Katamari, Ultimate MVC 3, Virtua Tennis 4, Hot Shots Golf, Mod Nation Racers, Super Stardust Delta. Bro, what the hell? This launch lineup kind of fat.
It's not that bad. Actually, a significant amount of the games that people love on the
Gravity
Vita
Rush was within the first year. Yeah.
are in that lineup, and I think what's especially impressive about this, and has only been sort of like half-assed recreated in something like the PS5's lineup, is there's a lot of Sony published games. Sony either developed or published games in this lineup, which you're usually lucky if a console launches with 2 or 3 developed / published games from its first party teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the Switch was like 1-2 Switch, and they published snipper clips and
sure,
then
3
Breath of the Wild,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay. I mean, I was a fine launch lineup because I had Breath of the Wild, but the variety here of Hot Shots Golf, Mod Nation Racers, Little Deviant, Wipeout, and Uncharted, like, that's a variety of games from Sony Studios that were put out, and then they just didn't do first party games otherwise.
We got Gravity Rush and Tearaway. That's all that really mattered.
I also played Tearaway. Tearaway's great. I love Tearaway.
Yeah, someone to play that. What else are you playing, Tucker?
Okay, so we got the tiny weird ones out of the way.
Little Deviants, Space Channel 5, Street Fighter.
I
tiny weird
finished
ones.
the 2 games that I have been working on for the last few weeks. Is I beat Tears of the Kingdom, which we're not really going to get into here, because we've got some other discussions planned around that, and plus we don't want to spoil it. I mean,
we've talked about it in depth for the past month, so
yeah. But I did end up finishing Humanity, and I know you started it, and a couple of other people that I know started it. But this game actually, I think, only gets more interesting as you go on. There are elements to this game that I didn't realize would be in it. So we talked about Humanity a couple of weeks ago, a sort of Lemming style game where you're setting down commands to guide a never-ending stream of humans around environments, like dodge obstacles and get to the goal at the end, collecting big golden humans called Goldies along the way. But about 2/3 of the way through the game, you get a command called Follow, where you, as your little light Shiba Inu, you press follow around humans, and then they follow you like a chain, like Snake. And then the game becomes an action game. Like you
I was gonna say,
are
at that point you're not doing commands as much, are you?
No, you're not. Basically not at all.
Interesting. That's cool.
Well, actually, right before that, the humans learned the ability to fight, and so you have like lightsabers and guns, and then you're fighting these other ones,
Oh,
and
I'm
then you
hyped to
learn
play
to
this again now.
control them. And so then you have this chain of humans with like either guns or lightsabers charging behind you, like send them into waves against the others. And like there's this commentary about like fighting other people that are similar to you but not really. And then there's, I think, some of the coolest parts of the game, these full scale boss battles of bosses made out of a bunch of particles that you're like running around and dodging their giant attacks and stuff. And it's like, what? I thought this was like a Lemming style puzzle game. What the hell is this? But I think the game only gets cooler and more interesting as you go along. And by the end of the game, I was fully in. I probably played like 4 hours, which is over half the game, just in the last 24 hours, because that's when I hit the point where I got followed. I'm like, wait, I kind of prefer this. And so it's just really, really cool game.
Yeah, I haven't played anymore since 2 weeks ago. I really enjoyed what I played. I just haven't gotten back to it.
Yeah.
You saying it turns into like more of like an action game where you just control them manually with your dog.
And the last world is a stealth world. You're like dodging like
okay. Now you're losing me.
I think it still works, but you'll see. I think the variety in this is something that I knew was there, but I thought it was only within puzzles. But when they introduced combat and stealth, I'm like, whoa, okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I need to get back to it. And like you said, with Tears of the Kingdom, we're planning to do some sort of spoiler discussion or something around it, just because we don't want to spoil story within this. If people just listen to this on their car ride or whatever, they don't have to scrub around and skip it. So stay tuned for that on the channel. All right, Tucker, let's get back into the big news. So like I said, there was actually a decent amount this week, at least for me personally. Unfortunately, we missed it. It was Thursday evening. We recorded Thursday morning last week. But Marvelous held a little showcase, Tucker. Of course, Marvelous publisher. They often do stuff with Xseed.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up all the announcements here. But there was a lot in this. Now, to be fair, it's all very light announcements in terms of they didn't show gameplay for anything. Some concept art, maybe a little CGI trailer here and there. But we saw a lot. So most notably, Tucker, I could not believe my eyes when I saw this. Daemon X Machina, Titanic Scion has been announced. I fucking love Daemon X Machina. When I saw this get announced, I was like, oh shit, because we had a question a few weeks back about like what would be an underrated Switch game or something that we'd think of. This is absolutely my answer. Daemon, I've never played Armored Core. I don't think you
mentioned it back then, but
yeah. I've never played Armored Core, and I feel like I need to preface everything I say about this game with that, because from what I've heard, people that play Armored Core, they do think Daemon X Machina is like a lesser version, and it's simply lesser. And I'm super excited for Armored Core 6 later this year, because I've never played one of those games, but Daemon X Machina came out like the perfect time in 2019 for me. Of course, Nintendo published game, big deal. The sequel's getting announced.
It didn't come out at the perfect time in 2019.
For me, it did.
But for you, because it was up against Sword and Shield and Link's Awakening and Luigi's Mansion 3 and also Astral Chain. It's like, Jesus Christ, calm the fuck down.
It was a great month for me because, I think it was the week after Astral Chain and a week before Link's Awakening. And then also Dragon Quest XI was in there for Switch.
Yes, it was.
Nintendo packed out that summer. But yeah, they announced, of course, coming from First Studio, a sequel to Daemon X Machina. We don't have any information. Nintendo obviously not publishing it because they didn't announce it. So I would assume this will probably come to PlayStation 5 and Xbox as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Daemon X Machina 1 is on Steam. And since they didn't give a year for it, that also makes me think low-key might not even be a Switch game. I wouldn't be shocked.
Sure.
Depending on how they want to go about it. Or maybe it would be like a Switch 2 game if it's years off. Really interesting timing to announce this. That it feels like a mistake, if I'm being completely honest, because Armored Core comes out in 2 months. That doesn't feel smart.
Yeah.
Well, but Daemon X Machina,
is that this probably won't, as you're saying, come out for a while. So if Armored Core 6 comes out and people are interested in this kind of games and the marketing cycle is just starting to ramp up as Armored Core 6 is like getting a bunch of award stuff at the end of the year, and then suddenly another high production value mech based game is like getting a couple trailers in like March of next year. I think that's actually not a bad idea in terms of some sort of synergy. Of course, I don't think they designed it around that. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think that Armored Core 6 will like take this game out.
Sure. I don't know. I was because I got excited about this. I played maybe 70 hours of Daemon X Machina on
Jesus
Switch.
Christ!
I played that game. It was my first mech action game of this genre. For those that don't know, you'll remember this. This was in I think it was announced at E3 2018. It actually opened Nintendo's Direct that year. This is this just really cool, flashy mech game with like really interesting color choices.
Yeah.
Like really saturated
red,
colors.
black, and silver.
Yeah, it's really cool. But
it had like heavy metal music. And
yeah,
like,
heavy metal. People were like, "What is this?" And of course, the comparisons to Armored Core were immediately there.
Yes.
And the game, I think overall probably did pretty well. I'm pretty sure it sold over 1 million copies, which I can imagine for a game like this was probably about what they expected. Yeah. As you said, it was kind of lumped in with a lot of other games, which maybe it shouldn't have been. It was also delayed like twice at that point, I believe. It was supposed to come out in early 2019 and got delayed to the end of the year. But when this was announced, I decided to download it on Steam because it was on sale for $20, and I realized it was cross-save. First of all, I have to say, I'm talking about the first game here. This game running at 60 FPS on my 4K monitor, fucking beautiful. Runs like butter. Yeah, on Steam. I did refund it, however, because the servers are dead. And this is a very, cooperative. I mean, you could play it single player, and there is like a story mode, but definitely prefer to play it co-op, and it is cross-save. But yeah, I refunded that. But yeah, Daemon X Machina, I just could not believe my eyes. I thought this was a series we would never see again, especially because I didn't know if Nintendo owned the name to it, or what, but just out of nowhere. So I'll be very excited to see more from this in the coming months. Hopefully, I mean, we had there was like a CGI trailer of just a mech, but very exciting there. But Tucker, Marvelous announced like 8 other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once again, these are all very loose. So we saw 2 Story of Seasons games announced. Let me pull up the Go Nintendo article here.
A lot of these goddamn games.
Yeah, they certainly do. And this was honestly like low key more exciting than the PlayStation Showcase, because this is what I fucking expected PlayStation to do, was like lay out the roadmap. I assume this is probably the roadmap for Marvelous for the next 4 years, which is fine. So obviously, Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life, the remake of the PS2 game, is coming out later this year. I think it's already out in Japan. But they announced 2 games, just as like concepts. They announced a game simply known as Story of Seasons, but then they also announced another one. This is the title they gave it during the event: A Story of Seasons You Can Play With Everyone, which is going to be the first multiplayer Story of Seasons game. Which, Jesus Christ, get a new name. I'm sure they will, but what the fuck?
That sounds like a working title thing.
Yeah.
It also sounds like something that might have been just like poorly translated somehow. I mean,
maybe. I didn't watch the actual event, but I believe it was translated by Marvelous.
That's bizarre. Bizarre.
2 new Story of Seasons games. I don't think either of us really play those. I liked Harvest Moon growing up, which is what Story of Seasons is now.
Yeah.
But never gonna play those games probably. And then they also announced 2 Rune Factory games, or I guess they announced 1, and then we had a logo for another one. So
they did that at a Nintendo Direct a while ago too.
They've done that twice at a Nintendo Direct. So
really,
they were Well, I think when they announced Rune Factory 4 port for Switch, they announced like a new Rune Factory 5 down development. Yeah, and that game came out now. And then in the Direct that announced, I think it was the Farming Direct last year. Yeah, iconic. They announced Rune Factory 6, but with like just like new development, like project underway. We have a logo for that now, and then also another Rune Factory game, Rune Factory Project Dragon. So if you are a fan of, I don't fucking know.
Farming games, Project Dragon.
Well, Rune Factory is more action. It's like action farming.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a fantasy Harvest Moon. So if you're a fan of those types of games, you are eating pretty well, I imagine. However, it does not end there. There were 2 things that I think are actually a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to read straight from the Marvelous Games press release here. The first is Project Life is RPG. Harkening back to influential RPGs from Japanese developers over the years, Project Life is RPG is a brand new IP from Marvelous. Director Itetsu Suzuki joined to share some of the team's inspirations behind this new title, built around the theme of life and all of the ways it resembles an RPG. With the goal of building an original title all RPGs fans will love, the team is working to capture the feeling of anticipation just before every great adventure. This, to me, it's hard to glean what this is.
Yeah.
This, to me, sounds like Ever Oasis. It sounds like they're making their own Ever Oasis. That's kind of what I got from that. All of these games have like farm building stuff. I would not be surprised if Project Life is RPG is just Harvestella. So there's that. However, Tucker, Oh, and to be fair, they also showed Fashion Dreamer, which is coming out later this year from Sin Sophia. That's just style savvy. But the other game that they announced, this is what's more interesting to me as a weeb. Project Magia is what they say here. Managing producer Takahiro Ishida revealed the first details of this upcoming project built around the theme of a new frontier. The development team has partnered with legendary illustrator and writer Hiro Mashima, the creator of Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, to design the game's characters, sharing a look at a few of the early designs. More details will be revealed at a later date at this development team works to brave this new frontier for Marvel. So we have literally no details about the game, but as a weeb, I don't read Fairy Tail or Eden Zero, but those are both very popular manga, Tucker. Trust me on that one.
Yeah.
Hiro Mashima, first of all, he does 2 weekly manga right now. Fucking madman.
Damn.
He has said very openly, like, they do these like author comments in the magazine every week. He has talked about very openly how he wants to make a video game.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, good for him. Who knows what the fuck this game is?
Yeah.
We'll probably see it in 7 years. But I don't know. How do you feel about Marvelous just announcing a bunch of projects like this? It's a little weird. Maybe not what you would expect from these like AA games, I guess you would say. Yeah. But I'm kind of okay with it because I know these games are coming. I know Story of Seasons is gonna have 10 new games in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
You might as well announce a couple of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. When we talk about the current state of the games industry on the largest level, on the biggest publishers and developers at Xbox and Sony and Activision and Blizzard and EA and Ubisoft, these games keep getting bigger and having better visuals and need more development time and higher budgets. And they're coming out less and less frequently, which people are yearning for the old days when Sony would publish fucking 30 games a year. But what's interesting is there are subsects of the industry, not ones that I'm particularly familiar with, but Marvelous being one example, that are still doing it like it used to be done. It's just giving small teams enough money to make a couple games that are going to sell a reasonable amount of units, but nothing that's going to like really put them on the map, but it's going to please that fan base, and then they're going to put out fucking 7 games a year. I mean, that's what Square is doing with all their smaller titles, and frankly, even their bigger titles. I mean, they've got a lot of those games, but I would like to actually give some of these a try, or at least familiarize myself with some of Marvelous's games, because when we talk about there being this sort of hole in the AAA game space of games aren't coming out as frequently as they used to, and there's not as much creativity, maybe dipping my toes into an area where there is a lot of proliferation, and we are seeing 7 Stories of Seasons games come out in one fucking generation. Like, that's pretty cool. That's something that not a lot of people are doing now. So I actually really do respect this. And I don't have any connection to any of these projects. Daemon X Machina is the closest I have to being familiar.
Just because you know it's a Nintendo published game.
Yes.
Or was.
And maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll find a copy of that used copy somewhere. But I like this. I didn't even know there was a direct Marvel.
I didn't know there was one that day either. I went on Twitter and I just saw someone tag me Daemon X Machina too, and I was like, "There's no fucking way."
Yeah,
I did that. I went. I was laying in bed. I was like, "There's no shot."
But I like this. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to especially see more of that Project Magia from with illustrations done by Hiro Mashima. It's similar to Akira Toriyama, of course, doing Chrono Trigger back in the day. Yeah. We don't see that a ton.
And Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Dragon Quest, of course. Yeah, Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest. So I can't think of another, not manga creator, but like Nomura did designs for Xenoblade 2, like stuff like that. But it's cool to see some like cross media stuff going on there.
Yeah.
And I could easily see him doing like a Project Magia crossover manga chapter or something, like a little promo thing.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Tucker, any other normal week in a week that Daemon X Machina was not announced, this would have been our main story. It's very sad. Vanpool, the Japanese developer most known for the Dillon's Rolling Western series, but also their assistance with and co-development with HAL Laboratory on most recently Kirby and the Forgotten Land, as well as Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, has closed down already. They announced it and it happened on May 31st, 2023. Vanpool, founded in 1999. It's gone. This is sad. I love that eShop 3DS era of Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed after the launch of the Switch, after Snip Eclipse, that we didn't get any of that same spark or energy.
Yeah.
We got a couple things.
Good job.
We got the stretchers and good job, and these games were not good. And
Jump rope challenge.
I actually respect that at least. That's
No,
something.
I'm just trying to name more. I mean, they did do a couple Kirby spin-offs. The only one I think of any quality or repute being Kirby's Dream Buffet last year. But you're right in terms of it being significantly lacking in comparison to what the 3DS did, which had multiple new franchises. Box Boy, Pushmo, Dillon. Like they kept doing them. And each of those series got a bunch of entries. And yeah, I mean, I have no connection to Vanpool. I would like to play one of the Dillon games, but I don't think I picked any of them up. So
too late now.
Yeah, I guess I could go buy like a European copy of Dead Heat Breakers, but
I'm surprised you know that has a physical release. Yeah, that's the only one. You're on it.
I'm a guy. I know some things.
I know. Yeah, this is just sad to see. I mean, it's similar to when Skip was shuttered. Same with Alpha Dream. Just these smaller teams that Nintendo didn't own. But I mean, looking at their Wikipedia page, they only made Nintendo games. Mm-hmm. Their first two games were on PS2, Indonesia, and then Kalolball 2002.
Click on this. Look at this box art. What the hell is this?
This kind of looks cool. It's a JRPG. It looks like Coliseum Ball, sports adventure game,
exclusive in Japan.
Yeah, but
bizarre.
Yeah. So, like I said, most notably, they were the creators of the Dillon franchise, the Dillon's Rolling Western games on 3DS, which I think there were
Tingle's Balloon Trip.
3. But yes, they also made the Tingle games for DS, which were never released in America. But in Europe and Japan, those came out there. I always want to play those games and import them. They got very pricey, so that will probably never happen. Even looking at this here, they wrote the script for Paper Mario Sticker Star. What script? They co-developed Chibi Robo Ziplash with Skip, and yeah, recently they've been working as a kind of assistant developer to HAL Laboratory. They worked on Super Kirby Clash, Kirby Fighters 2. And then Kirby in the Forgotten Land, as well as Return to Dreamland, the Deluxe. So I guess their work on those Kirby games wasn't valued as much as keeping the company afloat was worth.
Yeah, but that's interesting because I mean Kirby is selling more than
it's doing better than it ever has. Yeah, so I don't know. We don't know exactly how much they actually helped with that.
That's strange. Yeah, I mean those games are bigger than the Dillon games, and
absolutely.
It was probably less expensive for them to be support studio and for Kirby games this generation as opposed to developing their own series with Dillon. So I'm just thinking in terms of the financials, like what is the reason? I mean, like maybe they just didn't see much use if they don't have the team or finances to support their own creations anymore. Maybe it's just like, yeah, what are we doing? Like,
yeah, I mean, we don't know what is going to happen to all the people that work there. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them got offered jobs at HAL. I mean, that's totally possible. Because that's all they've done for the past half a decade anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what's interesting though, I'm looking at Skip. I clicked on Ziplash and I'm like, you said Skip closed. That's not actually confirmed.
Yeah, I was going to say
August
that.
2020, there are growing signs that the company may have become defunct as they haven't released games since 2015. However, this not yet been officially confirmed.
Sure.
Skip.
It is widely agreed upon they are probably dead. I'm pretty sure someone
have to announce that.
I'm pretty sure someone like went to their office or something in Japan and it was gone. I feel like I read an article about that.
Weird.
They might as well be defunct. In fact, yeah, it's funny that it even says it on here on the Wikipedia. So it's just kind of sad to see. Maybe we didn't have the most growing connection with Vanpool and Dillon's Rolling Western.
Yeah,
they worked on the Windrunner minigame and We Play Motion, but just seeing
I'm sorry, I haven't played We Play Motion.
I feel like me neither. I always wanted to. I like We Play.
Everyone I played Wii Music last year.
I'm sorry, that game's
sucks, dude.
That game's horrible. But with Xbox and PlayStation and just the industry at large, I feel like you see studio closures very often.
Yeah,
it's pretty rare it actually affects Nintendo in a way like that we can see. So in fact, I think the last one would be Skip, and we don't even know if they're shut. I mean, yeah. So it's pretty rare. Of course, Nintendo didn't own the studio, so it's not as big of a deal as like Sony shutting down Pixel Opus a few weeks ago. But still sad to see. I'm sure Kirby will be fine. I don't think this is gonna hurt Kirby's output. But hopefully all these people like I said, maybe get offered jobs at HAL or just land on their feet. And Rest in peace, Dillon. We're never seeing Dillon again. He
No,
is
God,
he is
no.
he is definitely gone forever now.
His last thing is being a trophy.
Yeah.
Assist trophy.
This week, and in fact, just yesterday, Tucker, PAX West registrations went up, and with it, we got some information about Nintendo Live 2023 in Seattle. So I just wanted to look through the webpage here, because they actually announced what's going to be at the event in terms of tournaments. This is actually my first time looking at this, but I just kind of scrolled through it, and there's a lot of weird stuff. So we were kind of theorizing, they're going to be at Gamescom, they're going to be at Nintendo Live.
Yeah.
At that point, all these games are going to be out. So what are they going to have on display, and what are you going to be able to play at the event? For Nintendo Switch gameplay, here's what it says on the website. Play games like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and more. So
what a weird smattering of games.
Yeah. They're having a Mario Dojo where you compete in a series of games, like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Maker 2. They're going to have a Nintendo Switch Online Classic Zone. It's a retro-themed area where you can enjoy a classic selection of Switch games. They're going to have live performances.
Classic games on the Nintendo Switch system.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So GBA games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Huh.
This is what I'm excited for, because I will be going, depending on if I can get in, because the registration is very weird. It looks like you have to enter to win a chance.
Yes,
They are going to have a live stage with live musical performances for the Super Mario, as well as Legend of Zelda.
Now, we're both on... Oh, Christ. Oh, hi. Didn't you... My cat's in the room. Sorry, I trapped her in here. She's gone now. Okay.
Yeah, be nice to your cat.
Yeah, bye.
It says bop along to pieces from games from Super Mario. Or for
that's
some,
really funny.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at this website as well. Yeah. I have not seen these Nintendo renders used officially in such a long time. There is a Twilight Princess-esque Link design used to represent The Legend of Zelda, and that's just funny to me. Because I thought they'd move past that. I mean, they've been using, like, mostly Breath of the Wild Link to represent Zelda for the last couple of years, and now I'm just like, huh? This feels like a Wii U era sort of thing. Like, they just, like, slap a random render that they just have in a bubble.
Yeah. Well, Tucker, I'm gonna shock your world right now, and I feel like this is maybe not a great sign for us ARMS fans.
Oh no!
If you scroll down under the tournaments tab, where they announce all the tournaments, there's gonna be a Smash Bros tournament, a Mario Kart 8 tournament, Smash Amiibo tournament, as well as the Splatoon 3 championship. The icon they use for the tournaments is straight up from ARMS, so they just ripped that asset from ARMS.
Oh, I see.
I feel like that's not a great the fist. Yeah. I feel like that's not a great sign for us. They're just using ARMS as like assets now.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But beyond the tournaments, there's also, and I believe those tournaments are going to be live streamed. There's like a qualifiers for the Splatoon 3 championship. There's going to be photo ops. Looking at it now, kind of disappointing because it's literally just photo ops that they've had at past years. They're going to have Carby from Forgotten Land. They're going to have Animal Crossing mascots, the Tears of the Kingdom Link statue, Smash Bros Sandbag.
That's so funny.
They're
recycling the shit that they built.
I'm excited. They're gonna have exclusive merch.
The Sandbag, I believe, is from E3 2019 for Smash Ultimate, or no, 2018 for Smash Ultimate. Yeah.
So this is old stuff. This
relax in the Animal Crossing New Horizons island themed space.
I don't know what this event is.
How relaxing could that possibly be?
I don't know why they're doing this based on just this page. Like, as a Nintendo fan, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
But if they have nothing to say or show, what's the fucking point?
I don't know, man. I think what's so interesting weird about this is it seems at odds with itself. And we might have mentioned this when we were talking about this in one of our first episodes, but is that it seems like an event geared towards the more casual market that has not been super invested in Nintendo. Obviously, the announcement of new games and the being able to go and play new games would bring in the hardcore audience. But in terms of photo ops and just, chilling and seeing some costumes and playing some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and just being in the general high production value Nintendo space, it seems like something that is appealing to hardcore to Nintendo fans because it's a cool Nintendo thing that hasn't been done in a while. But it seems like the audience for like who this is really supposed to like bring in and invite into the Nintendo space is families, is people in the general area that are interested in this. But people can't just show up to this. You have to register to win.
You have to win and a chance to get in.
So I don't know if I see this being a success for them, because if mostly the people that are going to get these like slots are the people that are on the website refreshing the page. Oh my god, I need to get a ticket. Let's hope that I get it. I'll put my name in, and then they go and they're like, okay, it's just like the old sandbag prop and a guy in a KK Slider costume and playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is that going to really be a win for them? Like, are people going to be like, oh, this was so awesome? It might be. It totally might be. And there might also be something they're hiding because they could
Right.
announce a game before that will be a significant part of that
Sure.
showcase. But as of now, there's nothing really leading me to believe that this is going to be like a resounding win for Nintendo.
No.
Though it will sell out and people will go
Well,
to it and there will be some cool stuff there.
Well, what I was gonna say is the registration's very weird. Even now that badges for PAX are up, I applied for a media badge and I sent an email and they haven't gotten back to me. I think if you get a PAX badge, you just have entry. I think,
okay.
but then it's separate.
Gotcha.
I think it's separate. If you, I guess you can get in without a PAX. It's very weird and confusing. So I sent an email asking for like clarification because they don't mention anything about like if I have a media badge if I'll get in to the Nintendo Live event. I don't know how much this will do for Nintendo and helping their business.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good thing for PAX, though.
Well, absolutely.
This is definitely going to help them get more people and more eyes on the show. And as someone who hasn't gone to E3 before and I don't think saw any of the displays they're reusing here, I'm excited to see Kirby.
Of course. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll do a photo op with Kirby.
Yeah.
Sure. So, very weird event. Like you said, maybe they'll have something to announce, and that's why they're holding it closer to the chest. But I'm officially not holding my breath anymore for that, to be honest. All right, Tucker. There was a game announced this week.
Yes.
I love game announcements, and this is just a feel-good game announcement. Genuinely, I'm looking at your face. I don't know if you actually know this about me, Tucker. I fucking loved that Hot Wheels game that came out a couple years ago, and we're getting a sequel. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, officially revealed, launching October 19th on Switch, PS5, and everything else. This game was like a sleeper GOTY contender in 2021. I'm not joking. I don't care about Hot Wheels. I don't care really about racing games. I played the Forza 3 Hot Wheels DLC. Forza Horizon 3 DLC from like 2016 or whatever, and that was really good. I never played the Lego DLC they've done, but Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, surprise announcement. It's only been a year and a half since the first one came out. I'm very pleased with this. I will be buying this because it's a really high quality racing game. I believe it's from Milestone. Yeah, it's good. So if you haven't played it, if you haven't looked at it, it's also like really visually just nice. It looks really like photorealistic for Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
I long for the era of like PS2 licensed games. And
that's a really strange thing to long for.
As a kid, it's just like I remember playing Monster House on PS2, and that kind of slapped.
Jesus. Oh, that's a crazy pull.
That's a crazy pull, yeah. So to see it kind of exist still, I mean, this is obviously just marketing for you to go buy Hot Wheels cars. But to see it exist, it's nice. And this game was actually really good. So
to see them get funding for a sequel. Monster Energy Supercross games.
Yeah. I've heard those are also actually good. So
maybe I'm just
Milestone, I guess, is just good at racing games. But Hot Wheels too.
They do like 7 games a year.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? Yeah, no, it's interesting. I'm curious for you why you picked up that first game. If you say you're not really into Hot Wheels and you're not really into racing games, so what about it sort of grabbed you?
It got good reviews, and I shouldn't say I'm not into. It's not that I'm not into racing games. I just don't typically play them. Sure. I liked what I played of Forza Horizon. I just never got super deep into it. But it came out. It was already a budget release, I think, at $50, and it got really good reviews. And then it was on sale on GameFly like a month later for Black Friday for like $20. And I was like, you know what?
On a sale collection, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll probably do the same this year, actually, and because it comes out in October, I assume by Black Friday it'll probably be half price, and I'll be gaming it up. It was really cool because I love the aesthetic of like being in like a room or something. Like you're small guy. Like grounded type energy. This is very much that. Yeah, sure. It's very much that where like you have. It's like they actually like put together place that's from Hot Wheels onto like a room, and that's what you're racing on. There's also a track editor. It's a solid game. If you are into racing games, if you like Hot Wheels at all, it's actually pretty good. Cool. So cool to see that coming. All right, Sucker. I don't even know where this news came from, why it happened. I guess there was some sort of Dragon Quest event for the 25th anniversary, but we got some information. I alluded to a Square Enix game coming to Xbox. I have no idea why this game's coming to Xbox.
Oh, it's the Monsters game?
No, not Monsters. To be fair, this might have already been announced, but it has a release date now. So the game was announced. I don't know if it was announced coming to Xbox. Infinity Strash Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai is releasing on September 28th worldwide.
What the fuck is this?
on Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, all of the above. Very cool. Adventure of Dai, Tucker, is a manga series that was published in, I believe, the late 80s, early 90s, and they've done other media relating to it. It recently had an anime, like 2 years ago. They redid it, and they're republishing the manga in English right now from Viz Media. And they're making this game for it. It's just a Dragon Quest action game. I don't know how good it looks, to be honest. The environments look pretty not great. But I'm definitely down for just an action Dragon Quest game. We don't really have any of those, I don't think. I mean, there's like Dragon Quest, is it Heroes? Is that what they called it? The Warriors game?
Yeah. Did those come out in America?
Yeah, they did.
Okay,
not on Switch. Not on Switch, but on PS4.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I remember seeing Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 be announced for Switch at the January presentation. They were only for Japan at that point, and then that's the only time I ever heard about those games. So I was just like, oh, I never heard about them coming out.
But yeah, Infinity Strash. I don't know what that means.
It's such a weird phrase.
Just call it Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. You don't need to put Square Enix. Why do you do this? Just call it Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. That's a good name. It's straight and to the point. You know what you're getting. It's an adventure game, adventure action game.
It's a Strash.
I don't know what a Strash is, and I don't know why there's an infinite amount of them. But great to see Dragon Quest getting these worldwide releases. Even still, of course. Oh no! I just see something very bad about this, Tucker. I just learned some crucial information.
Okay.
This is digital only.
Oh.
I hate that. I wonder if it's full price. It probably is. I feel like this is a full price game. Digital only.
Yeah, so, watching worldwide digitally.
Yeah, I see that. So I wonder maybe it'll get a PlayStation release. It's coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox.
It is. Why do I think that?
Yeah, we're on a Nintendo website looking at this news article.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so that's why it says Switch. Okay.
So launching digitally on September 28th, I really hope they change their mind and do a physical. I don't like this precedent. It's also kind of scary because it's great to see Dragon Quest getting the attention it needs in terms of having a worldwide release, but also Square Enix releasing a Dragon Quest game digitally only maybe says that they don't have faith in it after Dragon Quest Treasures bombed completely last year. So, not a great sign. But there was actually another new Dragon Quest game announced.
Yeah, okay,
Tucker.
It is full price.
Ooh,
and there is a digital deluxe edition for $65 that has 3 costumes. So
okay, I might need. It's a Dragon Quest 3 costume. Yeah. No Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D in this announcements, which is weird.
Oh yeah, that was announced a while ago.
It was announced alongside Dragon Quest 12, I believe. So a year and a half ago, maybe. So that's a big deal. It's cooking. It's cooking. But there was a new Dragon Quest game announced. This is a series I've always heard people kind of clamor for in the West because I think we only got a couple of them in America, and most of them, I think, on the DS were exclusive to Japan. But Dragon Quest Monsters is getting a new game announced and released, coming to Switch, confirmed for Switch. So I'd imagine within 2 or 3 years we'll be seeing this. They didn't show anything of it. This is the first one. In fact, I'll just do some live research here. Dragon Quest Monsters. We have not gotten one of these.
Looks like there's like a 3DS one or something.
Yeah, Joker 3, I believe.
Joker?
Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 3, which was in 2016. So it's been a while. For those that don't know, and this is my loose understanding of it, this is essentially a Pokemon. It's Dragon Quest Pokemon, which is just a good idea.
Joker 2, and Joker 3. You weren't lying.
It's Joker.
Joker.
But yeah, I remember during that era of 3DS, like these Dragon Quest Monster games would pop up in the Japanese directs, and people would be like, "Please bring it to the West."
Mm-hmm.
So
looks like Joker 2 came out in America on DS.
Sure.
I've just never heard of these before. So Joker 1 also good.
Yeah.
Caravan of Heart.
Dude, there's a lot of weird Dragon Quest stuff. Now, the interesting thing about this new one they announced that we know nothing about. I don't believe they said if it's being localized. However, if they're localizing Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai, I would fucking hope so. And Dragon Quest Treasures and stuff. I feel like we're at a point now if a Dragon Quest game doesn't get localized, that's a slap on the wrist, Square Enix. We're well past that point.
The latest game that wasn't localized was. I mean, they've been doing.
It might have been Joker 3. Well, there was the Dragon Quest 10 offline version that released last year.
Sure.
Which I wasn't expecting. It would have been nice. Maybe that could still come. I believe it would probably be Joker 3 then. I have to imagine. Which, to be fair, was 9 years ago. Almost. Or, sorry, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while. Let me see. List of Dragon Quest games. There's gonna be some like weird Dragon Quest board game that was only released on the Xbox in Japan, just for no reason. Let's see here. What the fuck? I hate when Wikipedia lists things by series instead of just in release order. Like I don't.
Now, so, question for you: what is your experience with the Dragon Quest series? Because frankly, my familiarity is so limited that I didn't even know that the Dragon Quest Monster series sub-series was a thing. I didn't know about this manga. I didn't know about the anime adaptation. So, like, I'm learning a bunch of stuff today.
Sure. Yeah. So Dragon Quest is a series I've always been interested in. It's one of those things I have never played a mainline Dragon Quest game. I played a little bit of 11 when that came out. But that's a 100-hour game. I just never got too deep into it. I want to.
I'm in the exact same boat. I got that on Switch when Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition S came out.
And I like what I played of it. It's just it's so daunting. It's just a lot.
I remember the town theme music from that because every town used the same theme music.
Every game uses the same music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, even back when I was a kid, seeing Dragon Quest IX on DS like in stores, I wanted to play that. I did play Dragon Quest Heroes, The World Trees Will and the Blight Below. I love that title. It's so stupid, but that's just a Warriors game. And my most played Dragon Quest game by far is Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Sure.
I didn't beat it, but I probably put a good 30 hours into it.
Yeah. I played the demo of 1.
It's a fun game. It's not, people say, oh, it's a Minecraft Dragon Quest. It's not quite that. It's obviously, it has town building. Dragon Quest Builders 2 added like multiplayer and stuff. But it's weird. It still has like the elements of a regular Dragon Quest game, but it's like more action based. But then you are getting materials and you are building up your town and like having all your people come in. It's fun. I wouldn't mind a new Dragon Quest Builders game. In fact, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done one yet because it's been 4 years, I believe, since the last one. And of course,
they do a lot of these goddamn.
They do a lot of spinoffs. I still want to try Dragon Quest Treasures. I heard it was good, but that game.
I don't know anything about that. To be 100% honest.
That is, it's a prequel to 11.
It's a canon game.
Well, it's a spinoff, and it doesn't play like 11, but it's the characters from 11 as kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Dragon Quest, there's a lot going on with you.
Holy shit! The Dragon Quest Treasures Wikipedia page is like half a paragraph.
I see that. Yeah.
That is hilarious. What the hell?
Jesus Christ.
Dragon Quest Treasures received mixed reception from critics.
Dragon Quest Treasures is like another Dragon Quest sub-series, I'm pretty sure. I remember people saying like, oh, I wish they had just done a game more like this or something. I don't know. People are saying you can skip Dragon Quest Treasures.
Okay,
Top result on Google.
Where were you getting your information from?
Maybe I saw someone on Twitter saying it was good. But yeah, Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai coming to Switch later this year, digital only apparently, which sucks, but also new Monsters game. So Square Enix keeping up with what they're doing. They were running out of their 30 games currently announced, Tucker. So we have to get the slate going again. There are currently 5 Dragon Quest games announced. I think at this point. So
yeah,
we need more. We need more. We need more Harvestellas and Dio Field Chronicles right now. Yes. That's what we're lacking. All right, Tucker. Let's get into listener questions.
Here's the thing about those kind of games, though, is they can just be announced whenever and then released within like 2 weeks. So the fact that we haven't heard about them right now doesn't mean that they're not happening.
It's true. It's true.
We might have 3 of them released before the end of the year.
I would love. Right, I don't think Dragon Quest. At least I can't stand the fucking Dragon Quest main theme, but the dun 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 that they show in every trailer. But there was a Dragon Quest theater rhythm that came out in Japan. It was literally just theater rhythm, but Dragon Quest themed.
Yeah.
I would love if that came back. I don't any more theater rhythm. Dude, theater rhythm Final Fantasy this year was so good. Goddamn, love that game. I got a physical copy of it the other day. It was on sale.
Cool.
All right, let's get into listener questions. Of course, like I said, write in. I make a community post on this YouTube channel every week. Where you can write in, and there's also the Discord now, so join the Discord. That is linked down below. Write in your questions. They can be about Nintendo specifically. They can be about Nintendo news. They can be about gaming industry news. It doesn't really matter. Tucker's playing with his cat.
I've got her hands in my hands. she's just fucking sitting around. I can't get rid of her.
So yeah, join the Discord. Write in. We love answering questions. We love talking with you all in the podcast. So it can be literally about anything. So let's go ahead and get into it, Tucker. So we didn't have too many this week, but wanted to cover them anyway. Kid with a Camera commented, worst first-party Switch game. Tucker.
Oh God. Oh,
I'm looking at my shelf.
Hmm.
My gut reaction is
question,
my gut reaction is Battle League, Mario Strikers Battle League.
First-party Switch game.
Yeah. So we're just gonna say published. We're just gonna say published.
Exclusive games ranked list on backlog.
Okay.
Does Quest count? Pokemon Quest?
Let's not count it just for this, because that's on mobile. You know.
That's a great point. Yeah.
That game's not good. I beat that game. I beat it. I feel like we talked about that. Yeah, I put like 40 hours into that game.
That's insane, dude. That's
I play. See, I give you shit for playing Little Deviants. I beat Pokemon Quest in 100% at Switch Sports, so I'm not really one to judge. You know.
You could have played the Xenoblade 3 DLC like 4 times.
I should have.
For me, other than like mobile Pokemon spin-off stuff, there are a few games that I'm not a fan of, just kind of the type of games they are. We talked about Advanced Wars. I mean, that's not a bad game, but it's not a game that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I think the only one I could really make a case for that I have specific experience with the series of, and that I can make a case that it's significantly worse than other entries, is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
Oh, that game's rough.
I really hate BSP. I mean,
only mainline Pokemon game I have not finished yet. I can't do it. It's horrible. It's horrible.
And because I mean, for like Mario Golf Super Rush and Mario Strikers Battle League, those were the first games in their respective subseries that I'd ever played. So I don't really have anything to like go off of in terms of. I would just like have to take the word of other people that they're not as good as the other ones. I didn't like either of those games a particularly large amount, but I dislike BDSP more. And then a game like Kirby Star Allies, which is like totally
I replayed it. It's really not that bad. Like it's just a Kirby game, you know.
Yeah.
It was not what we needed at the time, but now that we're in a post Forgotten Land world, it's like fine. It's like okay, that's okay. It's okay, Star Allies. You're doing your thing. Yeah, honestly, you're probably right with BDSP. That game is rough, dude. I've been seeing more and more people try to defend it recently. There's no defending that game. There is no excuse. It is the worst Pokemon game. I don't think there's even a question.
Yeah, what's interesting though is for me, looking at my list of almost every Nintendo Switch first party game that I've played almost every Nintendo Switch first party game.
Same. Same here.
And I think like 90% of them are at least good. Most of them are great in some of the best games I've ever played / best games in their series, but there's a few that I'm not a big fan of personally. But the Switch, I think, has got one of the most consistent first-party libraries.
I think it has the best first-party library, to be honest with you.
And
yeah,
almost all of them are good to great.
Yeah, I mean,
best of all time.
You can say something like 1-2 Switch, sure. Or I'm looking at I have a document of all the physical first-party games I need to get, and I cross out the ones I have. I'm only missing like 3 of them. Nintendo. Right now I'm missing. I don't have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe physically, which is hilarious.
That's right. We talked about that. Yeah.
Tropical Freeze, I'm missing. Go Vacation, they published. Fitness Boxing. Let's see here. Dragon Quest Builders 2, I don't have physically. They published that. And then Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which didn't technically have a physical, but I want to get it. The little RC car.
Gotcha.
It wasn't a cartridge.
That,
sure.
Right?
Yeah. But I still want to get that kind of on the list. And then like Famicom Detective Club from Japan. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I have most of the first party games, and I've played most of these. If you want to be technical, the worst first party Switch games probably DC Superhero Girls, Tucker, because Nintendo did publish that.
Sure.
But I don't think that's what the question is.
Sure.
So yeah, I would say BDSP. I don't think 1-2 Switch is as bad as people say, but it's also not great.
Yeah. No, of course.
Yeah,
I have a soft spot for that game. I totally recognize that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, the Switch's first party lineup has just been so consistent. Even games that like I'm not huge on New Horizons, but I'm not gonna say it's like a bad game. It's fine.
That's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Pokemon doubling down on this. I really did not like New Pokemon Snap.
Oh, I didn't like that game as much as other people either, but like, it's not a bad game.
It's not a fun game.
It's so fucking bloated, dude.
Dude, I've never seen more bloat in a video game. It's fucking horrible.
It's crazy.
Pokemon Snap, I love the N64 game. It's a great game. It's like 2 hours. It's perfect. New Pokemon Snap, I didn't finish it either.
I did.
I probably put 15 hours into it, and they just keep asking you to replay the same fucking level over. It's horrible. What were they thinking?
It doesn't change that much.
It's horrible.
It's fucking crazy. And the best levels are at the beginning, which I think is the worst part about it. It's like you're like going through that meadow and the jungle, and you're like, oh, there's so many Pokemon. And, like you turn around, like, oh shit, Slacking over there. It's awesome. And I also like the like underwater level where I saw like
that was cool.
Octillery get chased by a Wilmer, and I'm like, oh hell yeah.
It has cool moments, but
it does. I think it's just a quality game that like they had to make longer for like literally no reason.
They had to make it $60, I guess.
Yeah.
And they felt they needed to make it longer.
But it's not a bad game. And frankly, we are in the minority of people that dislike that game. That game was very well received.
Yeah, people liked it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess my answer would probably be BDSP for that one.
Yeah.
As well as you. Because even stuff like Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain, I'm going to be honest, that game's fucking great.
Really? Okay, I've never played any of those games.
You should try it out. It's only like $20 or $30. It's fun. Yeah, physical. It retailed for $30. So Nintendo game that retailed for $30. Yeah, it's a fun game. I mean, especially if you have someone around to play with. I'm terrible at memory games where it's like memorize where these which animals were in this group or whatever. But it's fun, and there's like online leaderboards and stuff. It's cool. And it's like costumes you can get. Dude, I don't know what his name is. The little Big Brain Academy mascot.
Yeah,
one of my favorite Nintendo characters. He's fucking great.
So weird.
I might
have a mustache, right?
Yeah, it was a little mustache. His little school hat. I might have to make that my profile picture on Discord. That might be good.
That'd be really funny.
That's a good profile.
What is your profile picture currently? It's like it's unintelligible.
It's from a music video from a band called AJJ. It's just from a music video. It's like it's like a Wall-E creature.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like a Wall-E type trash robot. Yeah.
Huh. It's iconic because I just like a weird blob of color on my eyes.
Yeah. That's me. The lights are its eyes. It's like headlights. Okay. Let's get into it. Fluffy Mustache had 2 questions for us. First question. What are the chances that Tears of the Kingdom wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year? Personally, the only competition that I'm slightly worried about that would be the RE4 remake and Silk Song, assuming it comes out this year. There's also games like Starfield and Spider-Man 2, which I'm sure will be great and all, but I'm not sure they stand much of a chance against Zelda. So, I mean, I guess we can kind of phrase this as like what our current GOTY is, Tucker, because I think we're probably both in agreement.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, and the thing is with this question, I love talking about GOTY and like predicting GOTY. I don't know if there has ever been a year that is so obvious. There is no chance any other game wins. It's going to be Zelda. It doesn't matter. I was talking to my friend Caleb about this. Starfield could come out and be at an 11 out of 10 as well. It does not matter. Zelda's going to win. Spider-Man 2 will be fantastic. People, I think it was someone kind of funny. They were saying like Spider-Man is the comfiest, or Insomniac Games, but also mostly Spider-Man are like the comfiest 9 out of 10s. I love them like they're a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 will be nominated. Starfield will be nominated. Silk Song, if it comes out, will be nominated.
But I think that also what's interesting about this year in terms of the Game of the Year race, I think you're right in that I agree Zelda's going to win. And frankly, I think there's a very low chance that it doesn't win unless Starfield really, really surprises people at the end of the year. I think it's really the only thing that could upset it, because we can imagine what playing Spider-Man 2 is going to be like. I mean, maybe that the story or a couple of gameplay quirks will like be like, oh wow, they upped their game in a little way. But Spider-Man 1 was a great game, one of the best of its year, but it wasn't God of War or Red Dead 2 in 2018, or actually even no, Smash Ultimate was technically the year after.
It was. Was it nominated? I remember it got shafted.
It was.
Somehow.
It absolutely was. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think what's cool about this, and I'm not someone who puts too much stake in the exact Game of the Year winner, but what I like to predict is instead the
nominees,
games that will be in the conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think this year has a really great pool of a variety of AAA games that are hitting those metrics, and I think that 3 that you haven't even mentioned that I think will end up being in that conversation are Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4, and Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
3 games that could not be more different, coming from different kinds of teams, but are all getting extremely high reviews, at least as of now. Final Fantasy 16's reviews have not dropped, but previews are looking great.
It's going to get good reviews, yeah.
But I'm more excited for that conversation around the 5 or 6 games that end up getting the most buzz at the end of the year, rather than, okay, yeah, it's probably going to be Zelda.
Yeah, I guess that's the issue for me, because I also love that conversation as well, and it's still fun, but when you know the winner, it's a little less. Like last year, I knew it would be Elden Ring, but God of War Ragnarok came out last year, so I was like, maybe. And
Elden Ring trounced God of War like 5-2.
Yeah,
it was how many times it won Game of the Year.
It was a little bit more brutal than I expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the winner is clear this year. But you're right, there is a lot of interesting. I mean, even something like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, people really like that game.
Yeah, that'll be
and like Fluffy Mustache mentioned, RE4 remake.
Absolutely,
I think Keeley needs to make a remake category now, at least for this year or something, because there's so much this year. Dead Space, RE4,
Metroid Prime.
Yeah, so a category for that makes a lot of sense. Of course, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe would win that. Obviously.
Tekken 4 will probably be in our conversation.
Yeah, but you're totally right. Even though Diablo 4 currently has a lower Metacritic than Street Fighter 6, I could see that being nominated for the actual Game of the Year over Street Fighter 6, just for like that variety pick. And that's the pick I would like be like, oh, why is this even nominated? Because I don't play Diablo, but I'm going to play Diablo, and maybe it'll be my Game of the Year.
You're going to play it tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. I think it unlocks in 3 hours for when we're recording this. So, it's like a weird time. It's like 4 p.m. I don't know why. I checked on the PlayStation Store. Yeah.
Wait, and so you digital pre-ordered it, and it gives you access to the game one day earlier, or is it a couple of days?
It comes out on Tuesday. It's 3 days early.
Okay, yeah, that's a weird. It's a weird
3.5 days early. Yeah, it's weird.
Huh? What?
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited for Game of the Year this year, and just to see. Obviously, I think everybody knows what's going to win, but even something that doesn't have a release date, like I think Hellblade 2 could easily be in the conversation if it releases.
Sure, definitely.
But outside of that, after Sony's showcase, I'm not sure what else is unannounced that will come out and be in the conversation at this point.
Yeah. Actually, I'm really excited to see the fall fill out because, and this happens every year when we've reached the summer game season and we're like, looks like there's not too much confirmed for the second half of the year. It will fill out through the Ubisoft showcase and Xbox and Bethesda. I mean,
it's already starting to, yeah.
If
September's getting pretty packed.
Mortal Kombat 1 hits and it's another 9 out of 10, that's another game that's in that conversation. If Assassin's Creed Mirage is like a complete refresh of that franchise, that could be in the conversation. Odyssey was nominated in 2018. Stop chewing on my headphone cord.
You mentioning Mortal Kombat 1, actually, I'm very excited to see which wins the fighting game category this year.
Yeah.
That's almost more exciting.
Oh, man.
I'll be curious.
Sifu was in that category last year.
Dude, I get why Keeley keeps the same categories every year because you want to keep it consistent, but sometimes maybe you should just not have a category. There was one year where like One Punch Man was nominated. It's like, come on, this should not be here. And like the thing is, obviously, if Tekken 8 doesn't come out this year, it's gonna win next year. I already know the winner of the fighting game category for next year. It's Tekken 8.
Yeah.
So
there is the League one, Project L.
That's not close, is it? I don't think that's even close.
To being done, I mean, it was announced a while ago. It could come out next year.
Sure.
If that's huge.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, you're right. That would give it some competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we're getting 2 years in advance now. I love this kind of conversation though, and I'm very excited for this year's Game Awards and general Game of the Year conversation. I think would be more interesting than most years recently that have been pretty top heavy. 2 or 3 contenders in that top slot. Even a year like 2021, where I think it was more balanced, there wasn't like one that was coming out ahead of everything else. It was like, okay, maybe Deathloop, maybe
that was just a weaker year in general for me. In terms of what I like, but
this year seems to be like everyone's kind of firing in all cylinders, except for maybe Sony only has one game. But
it's still
going to be
nominated. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fluffy Mustache, like I said, though, did have another question. I've seen a considerable amount of people who have beaten Tears of the Kingdom, yet still claim it is DLC, or feels like DLC, and that the world's the exact same. As someone else who has beaten the game, I could not disagree more. A lot of the time, it felt like I was exploring Hyrule for the first time again. Why do you think some people can beat the game and feel like it was bloated DLC, and others, such as myself, can beat it and feel like this game is dramatically different in terms of the world, mechanics, and just general content? What is causing this divide in perspective? So, fantastic question. It's something I've made plenty of videos about this topic before the game came out. We have both finished the game. We're not going to get into spoilers or anything, but I think we both are, with you, Fluffy Mustache, we agree it doesn't feel like DLC, even in the lightest sense. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are saying it that haven't played it, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like the hyperbole you're seeing on Twitter and YouTube comments. But there is that subsect of people that didn't like Breath of the Wild to begin with. And I think a lot of those people are playing Tears of the Kingdom and they're finding that they still don't like Breath of the Wild. And if you don't like Breath of the Wild, that's fine, but Tears of the Kingdom is more Breath of the Wild. It is a sequel, so of course it's going to feel similar. So, other than that, I can't really think of why. I already started seeing I already started seeing it with that Sony showcase. People saying Spider-Man 2 looks like DLC. Guys,
this is such a weird
it's a sequel.
New conversation. I mean, I think we talked a little bit a couple weeks ago about sequels to games that do look largely similar but completely reinvented them, and I would include Tears of Kingdom in that conversation. For me, Tears of the Kingdom is significantly the better game over Breath of the Wild. I think we'll end up talking about more as more people are finishing the game and we talk in our spoiler conversation. But there's just such a different range in terms of what a sequel can be. It can be something like Resident Evil 4 is the sequel to Resident Evil 3, kind of technically, but like in release order. And that's not the same game, even slightly even close. But some games are more iterative on their first games, and that's always happened. That's never not happened. And I feel like people just, maybe because of the amount of time put into a game like Breath of the Wild, I mean, this has the longest development cycle between mainline Zelda games. People expected it to be the substantial overhaul that every Zelda game had been, or almost every Zelda game had been up to this point. Even the other games that are based in engine don't feel the same. Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, or Link Between Worlds to Triforce Heroes, those games don't play similarly. Tears of the Kingdom plays similarly in a physical sense, in terms of it's the same button layout, and you're using the same kinds of weapons in general and stuff, and the same kinds of enemies in the map and everything. But I think in terms of what a game does, building on a foundation, but making the moment-to-moment feel substantially different, that's why I will champion Tears of the Kingdom for being a significant improvement over Breath of the Wild, because the way that you're interacting with the world, even if it is the same actual world, largely, is so vastly different, and it makes me think, oh my god, she's climbing on my fucking back. Ow. Ow!
You make a good point about the way you interact with the world. It is completely different from Breath of the Wild. We talked about that a few weeks ago, with how easy it is and how much of more of a grasp you have on the world and how quickly you can traverse using the Skyview towers and just launch around. And this world is huge in Tears of the Kingdom, but in certain ways it feels kind of small. The way they've given you the tool sets to just maneuver it so quickly. And just interact with it in a different way than Breath of the Wild. Yes, you are still finding Koroks and you're finding shrines and you're doing similar motions, but the way you're doing them is very different. I think a lot of people, I think it really does boil down to a lot of what I said, of people that just didn't like Breath of the Wild that much to begin with, and then they are finding it is a similar design philosophy here with Tears of the Kingdom, of this emerging gameplay and figuring out how to solve puzzles on your own. It's not like a preset thing. If you don't like that, you're not gonna like Breath of the Wild, and you're not gonna like Tears of the Kingdom.
I also think that it's important to say that it is possible to play Tears of the Kingdom like it's Breath of the Wild. You can not build vehicles if you want to. You can just go straight down from the Skyview towers and then run and use your climbing and your paraglider and just like basically play it like you don't have the abilities that the game affords you. But if you lean into the new abilities given to you by the game, I think that it's very hard to have a similar experience to Breath of the Wild. And I think that for me, the only thing that Breath of the Wild does better than Tears of the Kingdom, it's not something I prefer, but that Breath of the Wild does better, is that feeling of isolation and the world being against you. Because there is it's just harder to get around. Like, you see a mountain, you're like, Jesus Christ, that's gonna be a fucking hard time. Now you see a mountain this, and you're like, my inventory is full of like 19 different options that I could use to get over it in 3 seconds. And to me, I prefer that. It makes it feel more engaging. Like, I have a better sense of my abilities. But Breath of the Wild does have that, and you can recreate that feeling in Tears of the Kingdom if you'd like. But if people aren't building a bunch of vehicles and using fucking rocket shields and hot air balloons and shit, maybe it'll feel more similar to Breath of the Wild. If you are just like not really interested in messing around with Ultra Hand and Ascendant stuff.
Yeah, it's a weird subject to handle, because I don't want to say people play the game wrong, especially a game like Tears of the Kingdom, because it is meant to be played in any way you want.
Yeah.
But you're right, I have seen people that aren't building cars and these things with Ultra Hand, and that is a lot of the game. And if you don't like that, if you don't partake in that activity, it will definitely feel similar. So I'm not saying they're playing it wrong, but Use Ultra Hand, you dummies. You big dummies.
Yeah. The thing for me that really ended up changing how I perceive the world is by the end of the game, I had been super used to using Ascend. And now Ascend,
yeah,
I see it in my mind when I look at a fucking ceiling. And like,
no,
I'm walking
literally,
around
when I'm playing other
environment,
games, I'm thinking about Ascend. Like, I'm like, damn, I want that so bad.
which
so
is
nice.
something that I didn't really think about, because I think one of the first times we ended up talking about this game, I was like, I always forgot.
Bro, she's attacking you.
You
That
need
was
to go
live on
outside.
cam. She literally launched herself at Tucker's back for listeners.
She's
His cat. His cat is
behind
going crazy.
my pillow on my chair.
She's speaking out.
This is
My cat.
bizarre.
My cat's still over here sleeping. Fat ass.
All right, I'm just gonna like trap her here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tears game's great.
Yeah, that was the question, right?
That's my summary of what we were just talking about.
All right, we have 2 more questions here. King Dilly asked, "What is your favorite board or card game?" So me and Tucker debated even including this question because me and Tucker do not play board games very much. Every once in a while, very rarely, I will. Growing up, my family we would have like family game night, that kind of thing. Yeah. And there are some that I like. Like Pictionary, I enjoy. I sound like such an old lady. I recently re-downloaded Words with Friends, which is just Scrabble.
Sure.
It's fun.
Yeah, you're a mom.
It's fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are some I like.
But also that's a video game.
Right. But it's based clearly on a board game. Yeah, similarly, and it is just Pictionary and these kinds of things. Discord just added games recently, and they added I think it's Gartic Phone, which is just a similar it's like they're like Jackbox style things, and it's basically just Pictionary where you draw a little thing and they have to like put a caption to it or whatever. So very, very Jackbox oriented, which I think you mentioned, Tucker.
Yeah,
that's more what we play because we're gamer nerds.
Yes.
So Jackbox.
And I really don't know what it is, but I've always said that I don't like board games, and I find them hard to get very engaged by. I think it might just be modern brain adapted to video game rather than board game. But I do think there also is something to be said about the way that board games are designed for local play and being a little bit slower paced mostly. And in my opinion, being a different way of understanding a game than a video game. Like, I know how physics work in a video game, so if I'm handed basically any video game, I can pick up a controller and know that right trigger is going to do something. This is going to open my inventory. I know how to jump and maneuver around and the basic ideas of what a video game is. But I'm so much less experienced with board games because on face level they don't engage me as much and I don't play them as often, that I find them kind of like alienating when I sit down. Is like, you got to explain to me all these rules, and then I'm probably really only going to play this once with my friends, and then it's going to be like 3 years until I even think about it again. So that concept just doesn't really appeal to me. So I have played plenty of board games in my day. Sure. I've probably played 1 or 2 rounds of almost every of the major iconic board games, but I never think about them. I genuinely never. I mean, I have so much to learn about and focus on within movies and games, which are what I'm very passionate about, that I'm okay that I don't like board games or that I don't care too much about them, because it's just like another thing.
Yeah. I realize with my answer of like fucking Pictionary, that's like the family party game, right? Like Monopoly tier. There is that whole subsect of like more D&D-esque stuff. Like I think of like Catan, that's really popular. Sure. And
I've played that.
What's the other one by the same company? I can't think of it. Carcassonne, I think. There are
yes.
Yeah. So I have never really gotten into that kind of stuff, and maybe I would like it, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not that creative of a person. So like creating like a in the case of D&D, I'm not sure how Catan or Carcassonne play, but like creating like playing a role, not really my thing. To be honest, at least I don't think so. Maybe I should try it. Now for card games, I played a lot of Magic growing up, Magic the Gathering, with pretty much just with my brother.
Okay.
I like collecting trading cards. I have a couple of Dragon Ball Super trading card game booster boxes just sitting up there, collecting, marinating in value. Tucker, it would be worth millions in 30 years. But yeah, I enjoyed playing Magic growing up. I just my friend groups just play video games. Yeah. So we just play video games, and I'm fine with that. I've made peace with that. I'm completely okay with that. So if we're gonna play a game, we're just gonna play a video digital game and be
and I think that Jackbox is kind of the middle ground between that I am a gigantic fan of. I mean, you talk about how families might sit down and play fucking, I don't know, Chutes and Ladders or something. But
Candyland.
Monopoly, yada 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 down the line. But for me and my friends, that's what Jackbox was. We almost every time we would hang out, we get 8 guys together and we just sit down and everyone get out their phones and play Jackbox and play all sorts of different Jackbox games because obviously there's a ton of them.
There's like 10 of them now, yeah.
We would really get into Drawful and
TKO's great.
Yeah, TKO's fun. Mostly the ones that we can like make jokes to each other in. And I said that I had a funny Jackbox story before we started recording, and that's because me and my friends played so much Quiplash. They were like, "How can we spice this up?"
Oh no!
And so we invented Striplash.
Oh no!
In which, if you get Quiplashed, if your answer is so bad that the other person Quiplashes you, you have to take off an article of clothing. And so imagine a bunch of high school boys in a room, and we're just being fucking ridiculous, and half of us are in our underwear, and we're playing Quiplash. That's iconic high school memories for me, playing Striplash.
This is how the high school boys discover themselves, I think.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
No, yeah, Jackbox is great. I can't. I haven't played any of the recent ones. I have Jackbox 1 through 3 or whatever, and then I just have not messed with any of the recent ones. I would like to.
I think 4 and 5 are the ones I played the most of.
Yeah, I might think of those because yeah, I don't know. It's always fun, but also I have played a lot of Quiplash and Drawful and like I said, TKO. I love that one. I actually ordered the shirt that one of us did, and one of our
cool
because you can order the shirt. Yeah, it was around the time Animal Crossing came out. It was like a froggy chair. You know the froggy chair from Animal Crossing?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
And the caption was "I'm gonna fucking lose it." And it's just a froggy chair saying that. Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. So yeah, Jackbox is fun, but yeah, in terms of physical board games, I don't think either of us were really
not really
into it. All right, final question, and this might be a long one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna do some research in real time, I think. But Nintendo asked, "What is your top game for every system?" And
I thought we were waiting for that. I thought
we're just doing it, sucker.
We're going straight into it.
I'm just gonna literally look up. I'm trying to think. Okay,
I've got backlog lists for every system that I've played.
I can think of a couple off the top of my head.
Yeah.
For PS2, my answer is absolutely Eco / Shadow.
I thought we were just doing Nintendo systems.
Well, we can just do a couple of each. I mean, we can go ahead in any way we want.
Sure.
Off the top of my head, I'm thinking PS2 though. This is a PlayStation podcast, Tucker. Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, some of my favorite games of all time. Specifically Eco, I need to replay it. Obviously Shadow of the Colossus got remade recently, but Eco is really special to me. I love that game. But leaning more into Nintendo, for GBA, I would definitely say Metroid Fusion is probably it.
Let's go by system.
I'm jumping all over the place, Tucker. I'm a mess right now.
I can tell.
I'm a mess.
Let's structure this a little bit better. Okay, you start with GBA, so let's just get that one off the bat.
Yeah,
for me, it's easily Minish Cap. I really love
that's also up there for me. Yeah.
Fusion is my second favorite, but Minish Cap is one of my favorite 2D Zelda games. I think that in terms of the new items that it adds and the world and the mechanics and everything, I think it all just works so perfectly. And I think I've said this on this podcast, but I think it's my favorite 2D pixel art of all time. I think the game is fucking gorgeous.
I agree.
So yeah, GBA. I had a conversation with Abram about the Game Boy Advance's library and how that system was only around for 4 years, in terms of it being like the main system, and it's got like some of the best entries in most of its franchises. So like, goddamn, good job, Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. And I guess should we work our way backwards now? We started in the middle for some reason.
Might as well. Yeah.
So let's just do. Yeah, for me, if we're gonna do like a Game Boy game, it would probably just be Pokemon Yellow.
Oh.
There's not very many Game Boy games that I am really that keen on, to be honest.
I've actually played 18 Game Boy games according to my list here, so that's a solid amount.
That's 1%.
There are a couple that I actually really like. I'm a huge defender of the original Super Mario Land. I think that game is a ton of fun.
The original.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my god, Tucker, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's my favorite Game Boy game. I think that how heavy Mario is super unique in that game. He just fucking falls like a rock, and I think it's really satisfying.
The Super Ball.
Yeah, and the Super Ball is a lot of fun to use, and in terms of it just being very focused, it's only like 4 or 5 stages,
It's like
and
50,
I think it's
40
got
minutes. Yeah.
top 3 Mario soundtracks of all time. The enemy design is completely different. Things interact differently. And the final boss is a fucking like shmup level. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And the game's only like 90 minutes long. I really think that game is incredibly underrated.
Yeah. For me, for Game Boy / Color, we'll just do the slash because it's basically the same thing. Definitely Pokemon Yellow. Those games are very dated, but I do enjoy playing that still.
Mm-hmm.
People, I don't like Gold and Silver very much. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if I like. I like Johto, but I don't know. Something about those games I'm not a huge fan of. I did recently play on Switch Online Dreamland 2, Kirby's Dreamland 2. Pretty good. I don't know if it'd probably be like a good top 3 or top 5 contender. The first game
it's my number
10
13.
seconds. Number 13. What's your top 5?
Super Mario Land, as I said. Then I got Kicks at number 2.
Okay.
You know Kicks?
No.
It's a puzzle game where you try to like draw boxes and like capture.
Area. Oh, is it with a Q? Yeah. Okay.
QIX.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
yeah. Okay. So I was thinking with a K. Yeah. That was on 3DS.
I was addicted to Kicks. I played a ton of that. Super Mario Land 2, another great game, but I just prefer 1. I think it's more unique.
Yeah.
Balloon Kid, a game that I didn't even know existed like a year ago. Sequel to Balloon Trip.
Yeah.
That's actually just like a more linear single player game, but with Balloon Fight. Sorry, not Balloon Trip. Balloon Fight mechanics. I thought the game was great. And DK94 and Mania. Great games.
I don't know if I've ever quite understood the hype for DK94. People go crazy for that game, but it's fine.
I'm not crazy for it, but
some people go crazy over that game, boy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
a game we haven't said. I don't think I ever actually beat it on Game Boy Color. But Link's Awakening is fantastic.
Sure.
Even the original. Now, obviously, the remake exists, and you should just play that. But still good. Also, I've not played the Oracle games.
Right?
Well, yeah, you would play the DX version, because it has the color dungeon. And then working our way back from that, I guess we would do. Well, let's now that we're back on track, let's just start from NES.
Here. Okay. We could have just started with the NES.
I fucked up, Tucker. I'm very out of the loop right now.
All right, and actually, look, the question was our favorite game. So maybe we shouldn't like splinter in a bunch of things. We can, I guess, but maybe we want to focus it in.
What do you mean? Like
we just talked about like 9 Game Boy games.
Sure. Maybe we should. Yeah, this could be its own episode entirely.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just do one game. No crazy discussion.
Okay. How about this? 1 game and 1 shout out.
Okay.
Per system.
Okay. Dude, we just talked about GBA for like 5 minutes.
It's fine. Well, because we can talk about each specific game for a while, though.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start with NES. What's your favorite NES game, Tucker?
Oh, NES. Oh, shit, I was on my Super Nintendo list. Fuck. NES. Oh, easily Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario. I so much fun.
Big Dr. Mario fan. That's what you played Dr. Mario World.
I love Dr. Mario World.
Yeah.
I've played every Dr. Mario game except for RX, which is a WiiWare one.
Yeah.
I've even played Dr. Luigi. And I love Dr. Mario 64, which is on Switch Online. But Dr. Mario 1 was one of the first NES games that I played. Actually, one of the first early Nintendo games that I played, earlier Nintendo games, because I didn't know Dr. Mario existed. And I also didn't know Dr. Mario was in Melee. And so then when I got Smash 4 and I saw Dr. Mario, I'm like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. There's a Dr. Mario as a playable character in Smash Brothers. And then I'm like, what the hell is Dr. Mario? And so I found it out. And the first time I played it actually was an arcade cabinet, Dr. Mario arcade cabinet. And then I got it on my NES when I first got my NES, one of the first games I went for. And I played a ton of that game. I mean, that's probably the only NES game on actual NES hardware that I've played more than 30 minutes of. So yeah, easily far and away, Dr. Mario is my favorite NES game.
Sure.
And my shout out, in a similar vein, Yoshi. I really
no shot.
Yoshi, developed by Game Freak, actually. Another NES puzzle game that I think is incredibly unique, and I got like super, super addicted to.
Okay. Yeah, for me, NES, I don't think the NES, I mean, it has a lot of iconic franchises that started there, but I don't think a lot of the games hold up very well. Obviously,
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, like the 3 Mario games are great. I'm not going to say those, though. For my actual pick, I'm going to say Mega Man 2. I think Mega Man 2 is fantastic.
It's a great game.
Mega Man 3 is also
3 and 4.
Close. Yeah, 3 is close, with the slide especially, but I like the bosses of 2 and just like the stages and all design. It's very good. That's probably my most played NES game. I probably beat that game like 7 times on 3DS Virtual Console. Just
whoa.
I went through a phase where I was like speed running that game. Like I was just constantly playing it on 3DS.
That's crazy, man.
And then I just want to shout out Zelda 1. I think the game actually holds up.
I need to give Zelda 1 a concerted effort. And actually I think it'd be a really fun thing to do like as a special bit on this show. I bought the hand-drawn game guide for
cool.
Zelda 1, which is sort of a guide / kind of walkthrough of Zelda 1, but it lets you sort of experience the game in this sort of mystical sense that's got this cool hand-drawn art style. And I think if I play that game alongside that guide, I will have a really fantastic experience. I've never sat down and actually done it, but I'd like to dedicate a week just to playing Zelda 1 with that guide. And I'll absolutely talk about my thoughts here.
Have you played Zelda 2?
I have not.
I also love Zelda 2. That's a very controversial game, but I think Zelda 2 is great.
I'd like to try it, yeah.
All right.
Nothing against it.
Favorite SNES game? So I'll go first this time. For me, depending on the day, I would say Super Metroid, but I'm going to say that's my shout out. My actual favorite is Yoshi's Island. To be fair, I played it on GBA, but I'm going to count it. Yoshi's Island is fantastic. Love the art style. I feel like that series never really met that peak again. Woolly World is close, but Yoshi's Island. Yeah, I also Craft World. I like Craft World. That's a little more different though.
Yeah, of course.
Yoshi's Island is fantastic though.
For me, there's an easy, clear, and far away answer. The only game Super Nintendo game I've beaten quite a few Super Nintendo games. Like
there's a lot of good ones.
I beat Mario World. I beat Donkey Kong Country, Link to the Past, Super Metroid, yada yada. But for me, those are like other people's great games. Like I think they're very good games, but I don't love them. I don't see them and be like, oh my god, that's something like really means something to me. Like I heard about them too much from other people beforehand to like personally resonate with them. But I didn't expect to love Final Fantasy VI as much as I did. Wow. I played that game on my Super Nintendo Mini. After Sephiroth was announced, I wanted to play another Final Fantasy game. Announced for Smash, I should say.
Yeah, Sephiroth was just announced.
That's not a sentence
His
that
presence
has
was announced.
And I love Final Fantasy VI. I think one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, one of my favorite video game villains of all time. The cast is impeccable. The world like reinvents itself twice throughout that. It has like some really mature themes. I mean, like that game, people give that game a ton of praise, and for me, like I hear people praise Mario World or Link to the Past, Super Metroid. I'm like, okay, fine, but I believe it when they say it for Final Fantasy VI. That game is so goddamn special, and it holds up incredibly well.
Yeah, I still need to get to that, but I'm so stupid. I want to play Final Fantasy 1 through 5 first. Genuinely, I want to do that, and I probably shouldn't.
No, it'd be interesting.
I at least want to play 1 just for the the historic relevance, and then also 4 I've heard is up there as well.
Well, but just about Final Fantasy 1 is like it started the franchise, but like historic relevance, no one really talks about Final Fantasy 1 through 3. 4 and 6 are really the only pre-7 ones that have any real like
people
continued conversation. Yeah. And 6 is easily the like most talked about out of this that first hexology.
Yeah. Hexology.
Hard recommend for me for Final Fantasy VI. I mean, just watch that opening scene of the mech.
No, I've seen it. It's good.
Snowy thing. Oh Christ, so good. And my shout out, Mario Super Picross.
I almost said Mario Picross for Game Boy because I beat that.
Yeah,
I did everything in that game. Yeah, on 3D.
Really cool.
Console. Yeah, I don't know why.
And then Mario Super Picross is available on Super Nintendo Online. And that's how I played it, and I love Picross, and Mario Super Picross is just a funny, has nothing to do with Mario. I mean, like, the first level is like a star. But other than that...
They just put Mario's name on it for no reason.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with Mario. But yeah, that's my shout-out.
Nintendo 64, Tucker. Very quick, cut and dry. I think there's 5 good N64 games.
Oh, okay, actually, you got to share that list.
Sure.
There's only 5 of them.
Yeah, Mario 64 is easily my pick. I will defend that game to fucking hell and back. I
love Mario 64.
I think it holds up. I don't think it's broken like people say it is. The camera's a little wonky, but it's still my favorite 3D Mario game. And then shout out,
really?
Dude, Mario 64 is incredible, dude. And it was my first also, so I'm definitely a little bit biased. But,
that's totally fair, but I think bias is totally fair in these circumstances.
Yeah, and then for shout out, it's hard to pick between Ocarina of Time and Banjo-Kazooie, but I'm gonna say Banjo-Kazooie. Shout out to Banjo-Kazooie. That game's. I replayed it on Xbox maybe 2 years ago. That game's good. I really like that game.
That game is one of my top 15 favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
Banjo-Kazooie, I think is.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most controversial things I'm gonna say. I think it's clearly and undoubtedly way better than Super Mario 64 in like every fucking category.
It's definitely a more. It's aged better, I would say.
Sure, I agree. Yeah. But Banjo-Kazooie is my pick because it's the only N64 game that I have like a real personal connection to. Much like what I just said with Final Fantasy VI. I mean, I also really love Mario 64. I played it on the 3D All Stars collection, and I'm like, wow, this game holds up way better than I thought it would. But there's elements of that game that I'm like, eh. But Banjo-Kazooie, there are elements of it that are eh. What the fuck was going on with that grunty quiz at the end of the fucking game?
But, hey, that's iconic though. That's iconic.
It is. But that game is so fucking far ahead of its time. Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Incredibly in-depth moveset and like super varied world design and like collectibles on the level of like Odyssey and Sunshine. It's like, huh? What the hell? What's going on here?
Yeah.
But for me, it's easily Banjo-Kazooie is my number one. But my second shout out, Dr. Mario 64.
Oh, of course.
Dr. Mario 64 has a full story mode campaign that's really goddamn hard and a ton of different options. And it takes the art style of Dr. Mario and just kind of gives it a nice little polish. Yeah, great game. Go play it on N64 Online. Go play all these games that we've mentioned on N64.
Yeah, they're all on there.
Yeah.
You asked for my list of a couple N64 games that I think are actually
You said
good.
you have 5. I'm looking at my list. I actually have...
I don't know if it's actually 5. Let me. I would need to count. 11 games. Wow, that's way more than I would say. And to be fair, there are some I still have not played that I'm sure are good.
Yeah.
I haven't played Banjo 2 in a long time, so I'm not even counting that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I also have not played Conker's Bad Fur Day. But for me,
I have not played that either.
It's Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Paper Mario is fantastic, and then Banjo-Kazooie. So yeah, 5. I don't think I like Pokemon Snap. I'm sure Mario Tennis and Mario Golf are good. GoldenEye is not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, the funny thing is, I haven't played like half the games you mentioned there.
Oh, really?
I played Ocarina of Time on 3DS, so I can't really say much to the N64 version.
Shout out Yoshi's Story, by the way. I want to shout that out.
No, that game sucks.
I love Yoshi's
fucking
Story.
Terrible. It's my 18 out of 18.
No, I was gonna say shout out. That one's purely nostalgia, though.
Okay. I think the game is fucking terrible.
It's
Genuinely,
stupid. It's very stupid. But I'm gonna shout it out. That wasn't my official shout out. That was like a side shout out.
Sure. Well, you already did your shout out.
Yeah.
But for me, I still need to try GoldenEye. I'm sure I'm not gonna think it's great, but that and
I had fun with it when I was a kid, but
Majora's Mask I've never played, or Conquer, or Paper Mario. I've never played any of those games. But for me, Pokemon Snap, F-Zero X, I actually really, really like. I talked about that. I think I might have talked about that a couple weeks ago. Pokemon Puzzle League, ton of fun.
Yeah.
Pilot Wing 64, no business being as fucking fun as that is. And Star Fox 64, Sin and Punishment, and Wave Race 64. I think all games that hold up quite well. I don't love any of those games, but like, here's the thing. I feel like I don't like N64 as much as most people, like almost anyone. Like people love the N64. I'm like, really? But it seems like you dislike it more than me, which fucking blows my mind.
But the thing is,
I was the N64's biggest hater.
But I don't. I think I probably do like it more than you. But I just like those 5 games more than you like your 18 games.
Sure.
Because you're fine with them. Mario 64 is within my. It's in my top 5 games of all time.
Okay.
And Banjo-Kazooie would be up there as well.
Yeah.
So, and then Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are also fantastic. Those are at the top of my Zelda list.
Mm-hmm.
I played Paper Mario for the first time last year. That game's fucking incredible.
I will get to that eventually.
The highs that it has are some of the highest highs in the entire gaming landscape, but then the lows, like I don't think Star Fox is very good across the board. I don't think any of them are very good.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I should move that down on my list.
There are definitely misses for me. I only played the Wii game, Sin and Punishment, Star Successor, but I'm sure that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, God, this thing about Star Fox 64 is that's Abram's favorite game of all time.
Rough.
And he made me play through it so we could do a video on it, and I like tried my best to be positive.
They're fine. They're fine games. I just don't get the hype. They're fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm moving it down my list. Sin and Punishment's more interesting.
Sorry, Abram. I made this happen by
bringing
this up.
Yeah, it's fine. Hi, Abram. I know you're listening.
Best GameCube game.
Best GameCube. Ooh, GameCube.
Once again, this is
something I need more experience
very.
with.
Yeah, I've been trying to get better about it. I played Pikmin 1 and 2 earlier this year. Played Metroid Prime, obviously, on Switch. There are some things that I think would probably be high on the list, like Fire Emblem, that I have not played. And I haven't played the Star Fox games on there either. For me, obviously, if you've been a fan of me or watching my channel for a long time, you know Luigi's Mansion is my favorite game of all time. So that's obviously my answer.
Yeah, of course.
But also, Wind Waker is fucking fantastic, so I want to put that there too. That's my shout out. Both those games are fantastic.
GameCube, I need to get more experience with. My easy number one for me is Pikmin 2. I really love
that game's fantastic, dude.
And then I also think Sunshine is incredibly underrated. I think that game is really fantastic.
I think it's rated. I think it's exactly where it belongs.
Sure. It's certainly a.
I love Sunshine. I love Sunshine, but yeah, I think it gets fair criticism.
But yeah, I don't have a reverence for the GameCube, to be 100% honest. I mean, the more that games that I play, there's a higher chance that I like really love them. But like, even just this year, I've played 4 GameCube games. No, I played 5 GameCube games this year, and only one of them I thought was like anything special, which was Resident Evil Remake, which I thought was
that game's also fantastic.
My least favorite Resident Evil game, but it's still a good game. But also Double Dash, like I'd just rather play other.
Double Dash is great too. I don't know.
Metroid Prime we talked about. I'm like,
I have a lot of nostalgia for the GameCube as well. I grew up.
I just don't.
I grew up basically with N64, GameCube, and Wii all at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
So it kind of interesting.
Yeah, I wish I had that though. It's like no one I knew had consoles before the 7th generation. So I only found out about Melee when Smash 4 was coming out, which is like ridiculous. I know it sounds crazy, but like,
yikes.
I just didn't know about these games. I have no personal connection to almost any of these games. So it's very hard for me to like get the reverence for other people that other people have for it.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you on the game.
I also played Pokemon Coliseum a little bit this year. I'm like, what the fuck?
I haven't played either of those.
And I played Wario World. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I want to play Wario World so bad, dude. I feel like that game's actually like a bop. Low key.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I played like 45 minutes. I'm like, I don't know.
Most notably, though, a game neither of us mentioned that I'm pretty sure would probably be on my list had I beaten it. It's Thousand Year Door. I played the game as a kid. I played the game as a kid, and I liked what I played of it. Having played Paper Mario 64 last year, and fucking loving it, I'm pretty sure Thousand Year Door would at least be in my top 5 for GameCube.
Yeah.
So yeah, GameCube's great. DS. Let's jump over to handheld again. We're caught up. Black and White 2. Gen 5. Can I just say Gen 5? Is that
sure,
cheating? I'm just going to say Gen 5 with not looking through the list too much. My shout out would probably be Rhythm Heaven, but I do love 999, that visual novel. Fantastic.
I've never given that a chance.
Really good game. And the Professor Layton series. There's no like specific other than Black and White and Black and White 2, there's not like specific games on DS that I really love. Like the entire Professor Layton series, I really like.
Sure.
And to be fair, Unreal Future is definitely the best.
That's my favorite.
Bowser's Inside Story is good, but yeah, I would say Black and White 2, and then shout out to Rhythm Heaven for this one.
Yeah, okay. So DS is interesting. So I say I don't have a personal connection or reverence for N64, Game Boy Advance, or GameCube, but DS was my first system, my first video game system. So I have the history with it, but I only owned like 3 DS games for like 75% of my life. So even though I played the shit out of every Pokemon game on there, and I had like Scribblenauts and Curious Village when I was a kid and New Super Mario Brothers, I really have not played the breadth of the DS library, but I do have the my R4 card now. So sure. I have easy access to literally any game that I'm interested on there. But for me, it's Pokemon and Professor Layton. Pearl, my first video game. Platinum, fantastic. Black and White 2 are amazing. And Unbound Future, Curious Village, Diabolical Box. I love those games so much.
Even I played Last Spectre this year, and I was surprised how much I enjoyed that.
I need to get to that. The only interesting games that I like love on DS. So my pick is Unbound Future. That's my favorite DS game. I played that this year, and I'm like, Jesus, damn, this game's good.
It's so good. Yep.
But Monster Tale. Are you familiar with Monster Tale?
Monster Tale. What is Monster Tale?
It's a Metroidvania game / like pet sim.
Interesting.
You play as this little girl with blue hair, and you have this big orange monster that's
This is
your
such a
friend,
weird pick.
and you unlock new abilities, but you also have to take care of your monster friend by putting him down on the bottom screen and like giving him food and like giving him toys to like raise his stats. And then you unlock Metroidvania abilities. I that was one of my first DS games, and no one ever talks about it, but I think it's a ton of fun. I honestly think you'd really, really enjoy it.
Interesting. Yeah, the DS library is weird. A lot of people say like it has one of the best libraries of any Nintendo console. I really disagree. I think if you are not a fan of specifically Pokemon, but let's just say JRPGs, there's almost nothing. Because even when you look at Nintendo's first-party output, what are the best Nintendo first-party games? Mario and Luigi? That's a JRPG. You know? So, like, and yeah, like, they publish Dragon Quest, and there's a lot of that stuff. And there are the good picks, like Rhythm Heaven and Professor Layton, obviously, which isn't Nintendo, but they published it. But Advance Wars, Golden Sun, like, yeah, if you don't like JRPGs or Pokemon, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah. And what's interesting about even the biggest series on there, Mario and Zelda had either mid games or ones that just have been like controversial or kind of lost times.
Even looking at like Kirby had a bunch of mid games on DS. Like
it's strange. Yeah, I mean I don't like Kirby. And so Superstar Ultra, I know people love that game, but I think I don't like Superstar Ultra at all. There's a lot of bad games on DS. There are a lot.
To be honest, and it's funny because this is the era I should be most nostalgic for.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I think the Wii also does not have a fantastic library. It has a couple good games that I really love. But, like, yeah, New Super Mario Bros. Wii is fantastic, but it's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, looking at the list of Wii games, to pick my favorite, I don't know. I want to say Xenoblade Chronicles just to rep it, but I don't like Xenoblade 1 that much. I think that's easily the worst Xenoblade game. Mario Galaxy 1's fantastic, so
that can be your pick.
No. I want to say Skyward Sword is my pick. I really like Skyward Sword. Yeah, Skyward Sword's really good. And I'm weird pick. And this I think goes to show how much there isn't on Wii. And this is not a slight to this game, but my shout out's gonna be Mario Kart Wii. I think when your best game is Mario Kart, something's not right. Yeah. Mario Kart's fucking great, but there should be better games than that as like your favorite for the console. But yeah, Mario Kart Wii's fantastic. It's not my favorite Mario Kart even, but that's how I feel about the Wii. I don't think there's that much.
Yeah.
No, at least from first party.
I feel the same way. There's actually a good amount of games that you didn't mention that are in my top.
Sure. There's a lot that I didn't mention, yeah.
Brawl is one of the games that I have the most nostalgia for. I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's the worst Smash game.
Have you played 64?
Not counting 64. That's a beta.
Yeah.
That's a demo.
But I mean, Brawl, I have so much nostalgia for Brawl. That's easily my favorite Wii game.
I also love Brawl, yeah.
But there's also like some weirder games on there, like Epic Yarn, World of Goo,
Epic Yarn's great.
Warrior Smooth Moves. And then for me, my shout out is gonna be Trauma Center New Blood.
Interesting. That's not a game I could ever
I played entirely co-op with my friend Isaac. And I don't remember why we either had it or played it, but we played the entire game together. And like that's a game that's not like great or like contributes almost anything to the console. But I have a very soft spot for that game because I played the entire thing with a friend, which that might be like one of like 2 or 3 games in my life that I've played the entire thing co-op.
Interesting.
But I agree with you. The library. There still are some entries, Wii games that I want to get to, but like not enough for me to feel like I really need to shift my opinion on the Wii.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not bad games by any means. It's just like middling.
Yeah.
The entire generation was middling.
Yeah.
But now we get into, I think we have some more opinions on some saucier stuff. Look into 3DS, Tucker.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my answer is, so you go first.
It's X and Y, baby.
Oh, no, I do know my answer. Never mind. Yeah.
X and Y, goddamn. Okay, I said Brawl, I've got a lot of nostalgia for it, but you play me some Vanderbilt Town music, I will probably crumple and fall.
How many hours? How many hours did you play X and Y?
I don't know the exact total. Because I also lost my X game at a certain point.
Oh, that's right.
And then I had to start from the beginning, so I played through the entirety of Y, and then I completed the Gen 6 Pokedex. So I have every Pokemon, I have a living dex in Gen 6. And then I played through the entirety of X. Again, I bought another copy of X. I played the entire game so I could get all of the version exclusives over to my Y game. So that's the only Pokemon game I've played full through 3 times. I adore Pokemon X. I think I can make a pretty solid case for X and Y being one of the greatest Pokemon games. But it's certainly the one I have the most nostalgia for.
I agree, and we are so in the minority on this.
But
here's the thing. We're getting to that point though. The Pokemon cycle, Tucker. People are I'm starting to see it on Twitter, being like X and Y, not bad. So I'm like, yes.
And then it's gonna happen to Sun and Moon, and then it's gonna happen to Sword and Shield. Oh,
Sword and Shield's fine.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Sword and Shield's
fine. Yeah, X and Y, it's not my favorite. Black and White and Black and White 2 still hold that, but X and Y would be close second probably. Sure. Legends Arceus also up there because I think the game's fantastic. But yeah, X and Y is I understand the issues it has, but yeah, X and Y is absolutely fantastic. That's my most played Pokemon game by far. I think I have like 1,000 hours in it. It's
Jesus Christ.
I
played
that game. Yeah, no, I always say this. I think PSS is one of the greatest things they've ever done for Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely.
That was
O-Powers?
O-Powers and
God damn.
Well, I did a lot of breeding, so I was on a farm, Tucker, and I had like a little breeding shop.
Yeah.
And I would like do trades. It was good times. Little Pokemon e-commerce. You know what I'm saying? Fantastic. So that would actually be my shout out. My favorite game on 3DS though, and this was a late life game, Remake, Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Fucking fantastic. Easily the best Fire Emblem game in the modern era. Which I realize I should probably go back and play the older Fire Emblem games if my favorite Fire Emblem game is a remake of an old one.
Yeah.
Because I like modern Fire Emblem, but they're fine. Most of them are just fine. Awakening is the other best one, I would say. 3DS has a really good library overall, though.
It does. No, absolutely.
There's a lot of like Kid Icarus Uprising would be up there for me. Rhythm have a Mega Mix. Planet Robobot is the best 2D Kirby game.
It is. Without a fucking shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Link Between Worlds, fucking SMT4. 3DS library kind of goes hard, to be honest.
It does. What's interesting is, so we talked about all these other systems, and I talked about how, there's some entries that I still wanted to get to, so my opinions on the consoles aren't complete.
Sure.
But I feel like for 3DS,
I'm basically complete with 3DS.
I have enough 3DS games that I already love. I mean, I have more games that I love on 3DS than like all these other systems combined. And I still have a lot that I have not gotten to. I'm just like so much more interested in the 3DS's library. And it feels more extensive to me, even if it's not like on a pound for pound basis, actually more extensive. But yeah, X and Y is my pick. But then for my shout out, I'm gonna go Smash 3DS.
Interesting. I played that more than Smash Wii U.
I was just about to say the exact same thing, and I got so comfortable with playing Smash 3DS on the car ride from to school and home and stuff, and on the bus, and just like sitting in my room late at night. That was my preferred way to play Smash 4, and so I would hook that game up and use it as my controller and whoop my friends' asses in Smash Wii U.
With the
3DS.
You paid the $1 for the little app.
No, because if you have the cartridge, you can just sync them.
Okay, yeah. There was a. No, I knew, but there was like a if you didn't own the game, you could pay $1 to get an app for it.
Exactly.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Exactly, but I did not do that. Yeah.
Okay.
I just used the game. But Smash 3DS, I think underrated. How do we talk about Smash 4? Like people,
it became underrated the moment Smash Ultimate was announced.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No one talks about it because
no one gives a fuck about Smash 4, dude.
Yeah, it got replaced completely. I think Brawl and Melee and 64, despite not being good, like they have their own identity. I don't think Smash 4 has its own identity, to be honest, anymore. It's completely gone.
Of course not. But
Wii U.
3DS, goddamn.
Wii U sucker.
Okay, all right. Wii U.
We're actually gonna say something though. You can keep going.
No, 3DS, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah,
3DS.
Yeah. We've been talking forever. Wii U, I think 2015 was its best year by far. Splatoon and Mario Maker. I'm not sure which one's my favorite and which one's my shout out, but they are both up there. I'll probably say Splatoon's my favorite. That experience of playing that game with the Nintendo community, we'll say, when it first came out, having updates almost every week, and just a fresh new idea for Nintendo that really impressed me. Now, not counting Breath of the Wild as a Wii U game. Keep that in mind.
No, I don't do that either.
Because if it was, then it would usually Breath of the Wild. I am close.
Of course.
But Splatoon's fantastic. Then Mario Maker also similar at reasoning with the community and updates constantly. Just that era of Wii U. Despite E3 that year being so rough and Amiibo Festival and ultra trash, Splatoon and Mario Maker fantastic. Those are the Wii U's best games in my opinion, and I fucking adore them.
Amiibo Festival's not that bad.
It's fine. It doesn't need to exist.
No, it doesn't. But it's not.
It should have been free. And then you buy Amiibo to play it. That's what it should have been.
For me, my pick, is Pikmin 3. I love Pikmin 3.
Sure. Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
easily the best Pikmin game. I'm excited and hopeful that Pikmin 4 will be surpass that. But that's an incredibly special game. I think one of Nintendo's best. And there's a lot of other Wii U games that I like a lot, but I don't like. I don't. Smash 4 is like really the only other one I have like a personal reverence for. But
Are you a
my
Tropical
shout out.
Freeze guy?
Oh, I think it's fine. But that's
So
another game.
you think
Like
it's
for me,
fine though? People love that game.
oh, I know that, but that fits into the same camp in my mind as like, Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Super Metroid. Like those are other people's great games, and
Yeah.
they're all very good games. But like, I don't love those games. I beat Tropical Freeze. I'm not a fucking fakeO. But it's 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 good.
It's almost as overrated as Metroid, I think. Metroid Prime.
Sure.
The difference is
my
Tropical Freeze is
shout-out-
actually good, but
My shout out's gonna be Captain Toad. Captain Toad's
Ooh.
another
Yeah,
game
it's
that
good.
like Nintendo just like they just fucking made that game. Like
they just did it and then never looked back.
yeah. Well, no, they did look back.
They
put the
looked
game on goddamn
they
3DS.
looked back and thought about it for a second and then never looked back again.
Yeah.
We should have
Why is there not a Treasure Tracker sequel? What the hell is up with that?
I don't know. That was weird. Yeah,
But yeah,
Wii U library, for all its faults at the Wii U, and obviously most of these games are on Switch now, I think the Wii U library is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Considering how short it was and they could have just abandoned it immediately. And yeah, 2013 had Pikmin 3, but it didn't really have anything else, and then 2016 was horrible. But 2014 and 2015, they packed enough into those 2 years with Captain Toad and Yoshi's Woolly World and Xenoblade X and all these things that the Wii U library kind of bussin'. Also want to shout out Rainbow Curse. I like Rainbow Curse a lot.
I need to play it. So actually, that's the only game that I got before the Wii U eShop closed down.
You bought that?
It's the only one I made an effort to get.
It definitely has issues because it's really beautiful on the TV, but you're looking at the gamepad, which sucks. But it's fun.
Yeah, the Wii U is interesting because most of these games I played on Switch. Because the only Wii U games I had were 3D World because it came with the system and Smash 4. So I played most of them on Switch. So like I don't really care about the Wii U itself. I like these games. But then the biggest examples of games on the Wii U that I think brought something to Nintendo is Mario Maker and Splatoon. You're absolutely right. But I can't like go back and like experience those games.
Right.
Like,
if you weren't there, yeah, going back to them. If you're talking about games you can play right now and experience them in the same way, Pikmin 3 is absolutely at the top of that list.
Yeah.
But yeah, Splatoon. You literally can't play Splatoon online anymore, and Mario Maker, I think, is also you can't download levels. So
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we've made it. Final console. This was very unorganized. I apologize.
It's okay.
We saved it. We saved it. Yeah. We talked about this for almost an hour. But final console, Nintendo Switch. Tucker, I'm sure I've said this before. My favorite Switch game is Xenoblade 2. That is, if Luigi's Mansion is my nostalgia pick, Xenoblade 2 is my actual pick. But that will over time that will morph into a nostalgia pick.
Of course it will. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it already kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already 5 years old. And then my shout out, I'm sorry, is Xenoblade 3. Monolith Soft has solidified itself as easily my favorite developer this generation.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I'm so glad I decided to buy Xenoblade 2 when I did because I had tried to play Xenoblade 1 on Wii and on 3DS and I fucking hated it. And I still don't think Xenoblade 1 is that good. I'm going to be honest. I know. I am I'm an outsider within the Xenoblade community. I think everything surrounding it, the world, the characters, the music, it's all fantastic. I just don't like the game itself. Whereas Xenoblade 2 and Xenoblade 3 are actually fun games with great characters and great story and music and all that.
Goddamn.
So those are my picks. But honestly, I said this earlier when we were looking at first-party Switch games. I think Switch's library is going to go down as probably the best library of all time, at least from a first-party perspective. That's
a conversation to have.
There are so many options for this. I didn't mention either Zelda game, and those are my favorite Zelda games.
Yeah.
So that's how you know. It's such a good library. Metroid Dread's the best 2D Metroid game. Forgotten Land's the best Kirby game.
Yeah. Not even close.
Luigi's Mansion 3 is arguably the best Luigi's Mansion. Most people would probably say that is the best one.
And I'm not far behind on that. Games. Okay, hold on. Yeah. This needs to be a full topic.
We did ARMS. We got ARMS.
Christ. Okay, but if we're just narrowing it down,
just your favorite and shout out. We need to shut the fuck up. We're talking too much.
I made a bold claim the other day. I finished Tears of the Kingdom. And it might just be I just came off the heels of it. but I think it might be my favorite Nintendo game.
I think that's the crazy thing is, I think that's totally valid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like that outlandish to say that.
I just like I'm like maybe feeling a little bit of buyer's remorse on that because there's a lot like in that competition for me, with Pokemon X, and then for me Super Mario Odyssey. Like that game.
I didn't even mention Odyssey. Yeah, exactly.
Super Mario Odyssey. You didn't even mention Smash Ultimate.
Exactly.
What the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best Mario Kart game. Okay, we need to talk about this another time.
Yeah, this is another time.
But Tears of the Kingdom, I think is my number one. Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is my number one. But in terms of a shout out, I mean, obviously we talk about those like every episode now, but ARMS, like that's a game that I just
that's not your real number two though. I mean, you mentioned Odyssey. I would assume Odyssey is your number.
Odyssey is my actual number two. It might be my actual number one, but yeah. Xenoblade 2. My real shout out is gonna be Xenoblade 2. I don't know. That game is like dipped. Like people just shit on that game. I'm like, but Tora and Poppy and Brigid.
Well, what you just said, that's the issue with the game for most people is Tora. So
I love Tora and Poppy. What the hell's up with them? But that game's so fucking. Xenoblade 2 is so special to me. I'm so happy we have like kindred. We're kindred spirits in that way.
I wish you would have played Xenoblade 3. Wish you would do that.
Huh? What?
Yeah. Piece of shit. But yeah,
no, Xenoblade 2. Goddamn.
Yeah,
Jesus.
You're right. We can absolutely do a full topic, maybe not on the podcast, like a separate video or something, talking about first party Switch games, because just looking at the list and naming them out, I cannot believe how good it is.
Pikmin 4 is still in the way.
Yeah, Pikmin 4 is still in the way. The next Pokemon Black and White remakes next year are coming.
It's possible.
It's definitely possible. I would say it's likely, unless we get like a Scarlet and Violet updated version. So we'll see. Thank you, Nintendo, for providing us an hour of debate with that question. I did not fully plan on how long that was going to go. I think it was probably close to an hour.
What's the Virtual Boy game?
Ooh, Mario Clash, dude. Come on.
Have you ever played it on a Virtual Boy?
I have not. I want to get one there, but they're expensive and they break really easily.
Yeah, they're expensive.
I know you can play them on emulators, but I don't want to. I feel like that's wasting it. I gotta waste my. I gotta save my first time for a real Virtual Boy.
My Nintendo
Take that out
Grail
of context.
That I would like to get in terms of collecting purposes is I'd like to own a Rob.
Me too.
I don't want to play. I don't want to use it.
No, I just want to have a Rob.
I kind of do. I kind of want to try like Gyromite and Stack Up, but like I just want imagine a Rob sitting back there. You know? Have you seen
him in person before?
No,
dude, it's much smaller than you think. It's very cute. I was at Pink Gorilla in Seattle not long ago, and they had it they had it sitting in the window, and it's just a small little guy. He's adorable.
I want a Rob so bad. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Hey, if anyone wants to mail me a Rob.
Yeah, if you want to mail us your Rob, please.
PO box.
That just reminded me. Last week, we were talking about Metroid Prime Federation Force, and I said, "Oh, that's a cheap game," and you sent me a screenshot right after we recorded. That's like $80. Like, I didn't realize that game went up so much. Sorry, guys. Fake news. We'll play Metroid Prime Federation Force somehow. We'll get you a we'll mod your 3DS for you, Tucker. Come on. We'll help you out.
I have extra 3DSs.
Yeah.
I don't want to mod my actual one, but I've got an extra 3DS that I might be able to.
I can help you out with that. We can play some Metroid Prime Federation, some Triforce Heroes, which is actually cheap still, I think. Did you look up that one? How much was that?
I think I did. I don't remember. It was probably like $45 or something. Not ridiculous.
Yeah. That's still more than I thought. All right. We've been rambling for a long time. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. Of course, thank you for watching this episode of the Nintendo Select podcast. Little all over the place today, but that's fine. That's how we do it here. We're sloppy, Tucker.
Oh, yeah.
We're sloppy boys.
We like it sloppy.
I did say in the community post that we were going to do E3 predictions in this episode, and I say E3 Summer Game Season announcements. Yeah. Next week, we will do that 100% because obviously we won't be predicting Xbox's showcase specifically, but there will be Nintendo announcements throughout the summer. So we're going to be doing like a proper topic on that next week. So if you made it to this point in the podcast, leave questions down below. Let us know your predictions for Nintendo's announcement season this year, and we will read them next time. So until then, thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.
You did it. You fucking did it. Let's go.